Maybe don't make a sound before you lunge.
Yeah, maybe don't go. Maybe
it's like
silent.
sneak attack, and you like scream it out.
Surprise!
Thank you for your patronage.
Thank you!
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Mentally Gone Reacts. My name is Callie Lacerda.
And I'm Gabriella Lopes.
And this is... Sir, what's your name, sir, please? The people want to know. Shadow, look. Oh, he doesn't want to do it today.
Today he has a boo. Oh wait, he has a boo boo on his paw, so he's kind of a little bit
Skittish.
Yeah.
A little distrusting because we had to create a boot, right?
Yeah, he's kind of
medical
more,
boot.
which he took off, but he's kind of mellowed out today, and he does not like wearing clothes. So he does not like wearing this jacket. It always makes him shy and embarrassed. Here you go. What's this? Now give a kiss. Give a kiss. Give a kiss. Not on my mouth.
But yeah,
Aww.
so he heard about the dire wolves because we told him about the dire wolves, and then he's like, "Wait, those look oddly familiar. They kind of remind me of my ancestry, maybe, you know?"
Yeah, he said that, he would have protected Lady at all costs, but unfortunately, after the last episode...
I know, buddy. I know. It was rough. It was rough, but listen to me. You can never fall too low where you can't get back up.
Yes.
Okay, Shadow? Everything's going to be fine.
It's going to be okay. Oh.
Lady will be fine, okay?
It's going to be all right.
All right, Bubba? Okay. All right.
And here, you give him this.
Give me this. Lay down over here. Okay, good job.
Aw, guys,
Good
he's
job, baby guy.
enormous. He's my height when he's standing up.
He's a big
big
baby.
boy. Look at this big boy. He's a
very
good
big
boy.
baby.
I do like the patting, like those kind of like old men with the dogs. They're just like, good boy, and that's
this
it.
is a good boy right here.
They're like, it's a good boy. Yes.
Yeah, because showing emotion back then was like any
like,
yeah, it's like, hey,
good boy.
no homo though. Good boy, no homo.
Aw, look at them.
Oh, shoot.
He's tired today. He had a long day.
Hey, don't lick the leather. Tastes good, right? It's Italian leather. Sir, it's the best leather in the universe.
He's like,
I'm telling you, you can't resist it.
I've never tasted it before.
Oh, shit.
He's accidentally eaten chocolate before.
You what?
Remember? The
When?
chocolate bread?
Oh, the chocolate bread.
Yeah. He survives it all.
Yeah. He once ate a whole pack of gum.
Yeah.
A whole pack of gum.
Yeah, he's crazy.
And then we called the disease center, and then basically they withheld vital information if we didn't pay first.
Yeah, for the advice.
$60 for
like,
them to
in
tell
order
us
for
a
us
yes
to-
or no if
yeah.
my dog's going to die. It's like, ma'am, please, is my dog going to be okay? Well, first, you're going to have to go through our customer service, and you're going to have to make a small donation of $60 so that we could tell you a yes or no if your dog is going to die.
And then I found out that you can look that up online for free. You can put in the ingredient that they consumed and the amount, and it'll tell you whether they'll experience toxicity, and you input their weight and stuff, and
Oh
it'll
my
tell you
God.
if you need to go to the vet or not.
That's so
And then that's
stupid.
how I knew I didn't need to take them to the vet for
After
the
the chocolate
chocolate bread. Yeah.
The chocolate bread from
Outback.
Outback Steakhouse.
And it is chocolate bread.
It is.
It's obviously not chocolate bread. It's like honey wheat bread, but there is chocolate in it. And as a kid, I used to call it chocolate bread, and I knew that there was chocolate in that bread.
You always knew.
Cocoa powder.
Cocoa powder.
Yeah.
Makes the kids go loco.
The brown bread. My parents used to get those frozen from Outback because it was the only thing I would
They
eat.
would sell it, branded ones?
I don't know. They would ask to get some rolls
Oh,
from the back
They would buy it like off a truck?
off of the out of the restaurant.
She
Can we
grew
have
up-
some of those frozen rolls of your bread?
She grew up in Newark, New Jersey. You wouldn't think much looking at her, but she knows some. She knows some stuff. She
Yeah.
knows some people. You know, that's all I'm gonna say. She knows some people.
What does that mean?
You know some people. You get some stuff off the back of the truck. You get some bread, some chocolate bread
That's funny.
from Outback Steakhouse. It's from off the truck over
Hey,
there.
I'm Australian.
You Australian, mate?
Yes, the bobbies on the grill.
Oh, shrimp on the bobby.
I don't know how they do the accent. How they do their accent.
I always.
The shrimp on the bobby. No, I don't know.
Oh my God, he's shedding so
Nar.
much.
Nar.
Oh my
I
God.
know, there's a lot of...
Oh my God, I feel like I'm drowning in shadow hairs.
Winter's coming. That's why
Ooh.
he's shedding.
That's why he's so warm.
Look at him. He's so tired.
He's so stoic right
Do you want to stay here all day?
now.
The whole episode?
Are you comfortable with him?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Do you want to just start it then? Like, we can start it with him.
No, I think that he should go because I'm afraid that my legs are gonna fall asleep.
Hey, then wake them up.
And if you guys want to know a fun fact about Shadow, wake them up.
Wake them up. It's time to go to work. They fell asleep again on the job.
He's a hefty guy.
Hey, she's calling you fat.
He is.
Sir, she's calling you fat.
But one thing about Shadow is that if you do any sudden movements
Don't make
that he
any subtle
doesn't
move.
like, he will bark.
He will bark,
He
and he will
will.
bark angrily because he's a big baby.
Yeah, he's like, I don't like the way that feels. He's like, wow.
And his eyes, he underwent the same ritual that the Alsan Al Gaib.
Yeah, the
The-
Lisan Al Gaib.
Yeah, the Bene Gesserit, Jessica, the fluid that she drank, he
Yeah.
drank too.
The elixir of
Elixir of life,
the poison.
directly from the worm, and that's why his eyes are blue. Right, buddy? Because you see past everything, right?
He has all the awareness. Lisan Al Gaib. Lisan Al Gaib. That's him right here.
Yes.
He's
sorry, buddy.
I believe that we are identifying ourselves as Stark fans, and it's proven with our own direwolf here.
Yes, we now have a mascot, and yeah.
And we
All
should
right.
get it going, and
So we are-
then the buddy's gonna go lay down in his bed somewhere, right?
He's gonna go chill upstairs and
Aw.
also take this off because it's starting to
Yeah,
get hot
yeah.
down here. I can only imagine for him.
Aw.
And yeah, guys, so we will be right back, and then we will begin episode number 3 of Game of Thrones, is titled Lord Snow.
Lord Snow.
That's your name now. You're Lord Snow.
Lord Snow, you
You
must
are-
depart to.
Shadow, you are now, I pronounce you Lord of the West.
He took the black. Look,
You took the black with the white, buddy.
he took the black. His fur is black.
He took the good with the bad. Oh, buddy. Does it
Oh,
weigh
he's
heavy?
making me sad.
Oh, the black, does it weigh heavy? Oh, it weighs heavy on his heart, he said. Oh. Why are you being sad? All right, guys, we'll be right back. Bye.
Baby's making me sad.
Why are you sad?
Aww.
Don't be sad.
My chair's moving.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Do I resent it?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. We took Shadow up the stairs, had to lure him away with some treats. Full disclosure, before sitting down to record today's episode, I may or may not have taken 1 or 2 edibles. So I am in like I think it'll be in like a more enhanced experience.
Yeah,
You know?
and I took a little puff.
And I took
A little puff of something.
of something. So just bear that in mind. So if we seem a little bit more silly goosey, but I think that I have my best thoughts in this state, kind of. So it'll be an interesting experience, kind of.
I'm excited.
All right. So with that being said, a special thank you and shout out to everybody over on Patreon, all the patrons who have been supporting us on this journey.
In the last episode, just to recap, Bran is awake. We have we have some people trying to eliminate him.
With the dagger.
Right, with the dagger.
With a dagger.
And
Man, oh man.
Catelyn, which we were saying her
Yeah.
name wrong. We were saying Catherine, but we found out it was Catelyn.
Catelyn.
Catelyn. Catelyn Stark has departed to deliver news that there's probably some conspiracy involving the Lannisters behind what happened to her son. And we have Ned Stark and the girls already on their way to King's Landing. And we meet Joffrey, who's
a little wussy.
Who's not our cup of tea.
Who's a little wussy tussy. You could say he's a little wussy tussy. A little annoying little brat. An annoying little know-it-all.
Little coward.
All bark, no punch, no nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
that's embarrassing, guys. And then we have Sansa, who's split
Brainwashed.
loyalty.
Delusional.
Yeah, kind
Under
of
the spell of love.
caught up in Prince Joffrey, who's not really, he's
But
not really like an admirable person, it seems.
I think that she's caught up in the idealization of a future where she is queen.
Yeah, like
And then she's trying to fit this annoying little kid into the ideal stereotype of what a future husband will be for her as a king. So I think that it's more so her trying to force fit this idealism than her falling for him as a person.
Yeah, I think that she has a misconception maybe from fairy tales or stories that are told
Bingo,
of what
yeah.
a queen looks like in a castle and having rule over the kingdom, but maybe she doesn't really understand the implications of that and the severity and the gravity of what that role kind of like entails, especially in this messed up
Yeah.
society where there's brothers and sisters having questionable
Moments.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Sweet home Alabama. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. That's all I know.
Me too.
But anyways, yeah, this is a very questionable universe, very sus moment spread throughout. I am very interested to see what Bran has to say.
Yeah.
That's my most compelling thing and why I'm super excited to just jump in.
Yeah, and these episodes are so fun because the last two always they seem to always end on a cliffhanger.
yeah.
So you can't wait to watch the next
so
one.
you're like excited and you're eager and your mind's racing with possibility because it's open-ended by nature. So the possibilities of like what's about to unfold is literally limited. Like limitless, like
yeah.
infinite.
And that's why we won't take too long to watch these because we're too excited
Yes.
to wait to get to the next episode. So it's good news for you. It's good news for us. And we're
Yes.
going to continue doing them, and we're going to continue doing the long discussions if you want to stick around for that afterwards. And yeah.
Yeah, and then as everybody knows the rules, right? We keep our handy dandy notebooks because this is Blue's Clues for
movies.
For adults.
Adults. Whoops.
Let me call my assistant, Ashley. Ashley, sweetheart.
Excuse me.
Ashley, sweetheart, I need a replacement for a co-host. This lady over here knows nothing about the motto of what we're doing. She don't even remember what we said. We said this is Blue's Clues for adults, and it's gonna be Blue's Clues for adults or nothing. Goddamn.
Let me speak to this.
No,
Ashley.
it's done.
She's
It's done.
fired.
It's done.
I don't like that.
She's 74 years old. Relax.
74-year-old Ashley.
Ashley, secretary.
I
Yeah.
can't imagine a 74-year-old woman named Ashley.
I don't do those exist?
I don't. Well, obviously, people named Ashley turn 74.
Comment below if you know someone named Ashley over 60.
It just sounds like such a young name, though.
Yeah, that's why I chose it.
That's funny.
It's like Ashley, sweetheart.
Anywho's.
Are you getting
let's
younger?
Let's
She's
get
getting younger by the
started.
minute. Every time I call her, she's getting younger.
Anyways.
I'm just kidding, babe. Obviously, relax.
Let's get
Relax
started.
over there. She's like, let's get started. All right. So we will be doing a 5-second countdown. Again, special thank you to everybody over on Patreon. Patreon, you can find the full uncut reactions with early access. We provide timestamps so that you can link up your official copy with our official copy, and then we can watch it together almost as if we're watching it in the same room.
Yes.
And anything else? Am I missing anything?
That's it. Get
Okay.
ready to
It's going to be fun. So it's the
Yeah.
first time that you guys are going to experience this version of Cali Lacerda. First time ever. And who knows? Maybe I'll do it more often.
Yeah, but
It's fun
less
so
of the
far.
Ashley skit.
More of the Ashleys. Come on, guys.
No.
Help me write it down. Let me write a skit. I'm kidding. Hey, loosen up, sweetheart.
Okay, let's go. I want to watch. I'm excited. Brand's awake.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Seems like I'm in trouble, guys. I'm gonna sleep in the doghouse tonight. I'm gonna sleep on the couch.
I'm sleeping alone tonight.
Sleeping alone tonight. Glasses on.
Gotta pay attention.
All right, dragon.
It shows us where they're going to be, I guess. King's Landing. I feel like it always looks the same. People were saying that it hints at the episode, but I don't really ever see anything different.
I'm gonna agree with you on that. Yeah, like I'm trying to spot what the different one is compared to the last one.
Oh, maybe it focuses specifically on the places that appear in the episode, I think.
I see. Like that tree has a face on it,
Yeah.
and it's in Godwood, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So maybe nature is a form of deity. They deified nature. I know, right? I thought that the wall encircled like the entire thing, and
just
not just a
straight?
little. Yeah, like it's a little
Oh.
chunk. I just realized that. I thought it was the whole thing. I
So
thought it
you
surrounded.
could go around the wall?
Like yes, but there's water. It seems. I don't know. Okay, we got the stag, the lion.
A lot of focus, though, on the stag,
Yeah, the stag is the main point.
which is the king, right?
Robert, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Robert's house. And who's Slytherin again? I'm just kidding.
Slytherin. I was like, wait, what? Did I miss that one?
Did I miss
Oh, did they arrive already? It looks so colorful.
that? Oh, this is King's Landing. That's right. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen like the place. So it's just a castle? Is that what it is? It's like a feudal system?
Grand Meister Pycelle has called a meeting of the small council. The honor of your presence is requested.
I'll be back in time for supper.
If you'd like to change into something more appropriate.
What?
Damn. I'll have you know. This was designed by Zara. And this
Is of the Zara.
Summer Solstice collection. Produced by the alchemist himself. Limited editions only. Ooh, look at how the throne looks.
Whoa.
Oh, and it has the stained window glass. Just like a church.
About time we had some stern northern leadership.
Glad to see you're protecting the throne.
Steady old thing. How many king's houses have polished it, I wonder? And what's the line? The king shits and the hand wipes.
Wow.
People have been swinging at me for years. They always seem to miss.
Chosen your opponents wisely then.
I have a knack for it.
Wow. That's intense.
It was very brave, your brother. And your father, too. They didn't deserve to die like that.
You just stood there and watched.
500 men just stood there and watched. 500 men, and this room was silent as a crypt. When I watched the Mad King die, I remembered him laughing as your father burned. It felt like justice.
Is that what you tell yourself at night? You're a servant of justice. That you were avenging my father when you shoved your sword in Aerys Targaryen's back.
If I stabbed the Mad King in the belly instead of the back, would you admire me more?
You served him well, and serving was safe.
Wow. Wow, what a sparring. Sparring between the minds. Man, that was witty. Because like back then they weren't distracted by like cell phones and stuff. They were practicing
Yeah.
chess moves and playing chess, and wow.
I was grievously sorry to hear of your troubles on the King's Road. We are all praying for Prince Joffrey's full recovery.
Shame you didn't say a prayer for the butcher's son. Wow. Renly, You looking well?
Oh,
And you look tired from the road. I told them this meeting could wait another day, but...
look, another friend.
Venley.
I've hoped to meet you for some time, Lord Stark. No doubt Lady Catelyn has mentioned me.
She has, Lord Baelish.
What?
Perhaps you chose the wrong man to duel with.
Well, it wasn't the man that I chose, my lord. It was Catelyn Tully.
Catelyn.
A woman worth fighting for. I'm sure you'll agree.
I humbly...
What's going on?
That's like an old lover? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, maybe.
You were a young man.
And you served another king.
Oh, how forgetful of me. So, this belongs to you now. Should we begin?
Wow.
Without the king?
Winter may be coming, but I'm afraid the same cannot be said for my brother.
Oh.
So that's the king's brother?
Yeah, like his younger brother.
We are the lords of small matters here.
Lords of Small Matter.
My brother instructs us to stage a tournament in honor of Lord Stark's appointment as Hand of the King.
How much?
40,000 gold dragons to the champion.
Gold dragons.
Can the treasury bear such expense?
I'll have to borrow it. The Lannisters will accommodate, I expect. We already owe Lord Tywin 3 million gold. I'm telling you, the crown is 6 million in debt.
How could he
my
let this
gosh.
happen? I will not believe Jon Arryn allowed Robert to bankrupt the realm.
Counting coppers, he calls it.
I'll speak to him tomorrow.
Wow, 6 million in debt. In debt with the Lannisters.
In gold.
There will be no plans until I speak to Robert. Forgive me, my lords.
You are the king's hand, Lord Stark. We serve at your pleasure.
I see.
Ow, please, it's nearly healed.
Dude, they're crying because of this? Because of that?
A king should have scars.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
You're a warrior, like your father.
I'm not like him. I didn't fight off anything. It bit me, and all I did was scream.
Wow.
And your father was a rebel and a traitor. Someday, you'll sit on the throne and the truth will be what you make it.
Is it what he makes it, or is it what his mom
I
makes?
have to marry her.
Yes, she's very beautiful and young. And if you don't like her, you only need to see her on formal occasions and when the time comes to make little princes and princesses.
So he doesn't even want to?
And if you'd rather lie with noble virgins, so be it. You are my darling boy, and the world will be exactly as you want it to be.
This is the overbearing mother motif.
We allow the Northerners too much power. They consider themselves our equals.
How would you handle them?
I double their taxes and command them to supply 10,000 men to the Royal Army.
A royal army.
Why should every lord command his own men? It's no better than the hill tribes. We should have a standing army of men loyal to the crown, trained by experienced soldiers instead of a mob of peasants who've never held pikes in their lives.
And if the Northerners rebel?
I'd crush them.
And these 10,000 Northern troops, would they fight for you or their lord?
For me, I'm their king.
You've just invaded their homeland. Asked them to kill their brothers. Not by an outsider. It's too big and too wild. And when the winter comes, the seven gods together couldn't save you and your royal army. A good king knows when to save his strength and when to destroy his enemies.
Wow.
So you agree? The Starks are enemies.
Everyone who isn't us is an enemy.
Wow.
Ooh.
Enough of that, young lady. Eat your food.
I'm practicing.
Practicing for what?
The prince.
The prince.
He killed my friend.
The hound killed your friend.
The hound does whatever the prince tells him to do.
You're an idiot.
You're a liar, and if you told the truth, Mike would be alive.
Enough.
True. It's true.
Yep. Shame on Sansa.
That's sad.
I would rather act like a beast than a lady.
Hey, what the heck?
Don't disrespect her like
Speak
that.
later.
Poor girl.
That's for you, love.
What is the hand holding on his little sigil thing? Is it like a wand?
I don't know if it was like a pen kind of thing.
Same doll maker
Oh,
makes
pen.
all of Princess Myrcella's toys. Don't you like it?
I haven't played with dolls since I was 8.
The dad got her a doll. That's how disconnected he is. That's
It's
cool.
all right. Go on.
A strong disconnect between, like, there's no, like, they don't know each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's sad.
War was easier than daughters.
War was easier than daughters.
Go away!
Hiya. Open the door. May I come in?
He's
Whose sword is that?
He's like, where did you get that?
Give it to me. I know this maker's mark. This is Micken's work. Where did you get this?
Tell the truth.
Little lady shouldn't play with swords.
I wasn't playing, and I don't want to be a lady.
Come here. And what do you want with this?
It's called Needle.
A blade with a name.
Blade with
Aww.
Hoping to skewer with Needle. Your sister?
Your sister? Your brother?
And the prince.
Sticking with the pointy end.
That's the essence of it.
I was trying to learn. I asked my kid to practice with me. I asked him. It was my fault.
Oh, sweet girl. No, no. You didn't kill the butcher's boy.
I hate all of them. The Hound, the Queen and the King, and Joffrey and Sansa.
Sansa was dragged before the king and queen and asked to call the prince a liar.
So was I. He is a liar.
Shh, darling, listen to me. Sansa will be married to Joffrey someday. She cannot betray him.
There's so much politics.
Even when he's wrong.
Wow.
But how can you let her marry someone like that?
It's a good question for your dad.
I know, right?
You're a Stark of Winterfell. You know our words.
Winter is coming.
Oh, that's like their motto. You were born in the long summer.
But now winter is truly coming. And in the winter, we must protect ourselves. Look after one another.
Wow.
Sansa is your sister.
I don't hate her. Not really.
A little bit still.
A little bit.
But I won't lie to you either. We've come to a dangerous place. We cannot fight a war amongst ourselves. Go on. It's yours.
That's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool dad.
I can keep it.
Try not to stab your sister with it.
Try not to. Try not to. It's like, oops, my bad.
If you're going to own a sword, you better know how to use it.
He gave her good guidance, right? Like good advice. Solid.
Don't
Bron.
listen to it. Crows are all liars.
Crows are all
I know a story about a crow.
I hate your story.
I could tell you about Sir Duncan the Tall.
Duncan!
Those were always your
Duncan.
favourites.
That's Khal Drogo.
I know, Khal Drogo.
My favourites were the scary ones.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
That's what you guys keep calling us.
And he said Arya was a summer child, right?
Fear is for the long night, when the sun hides for years, and children are born and live and die. When the White Walkers moved through the woods.
Oh my God.
Kings froze to death in their castles, and women smothered their babies rather than see them starve. So is this the sort of story that you like?
It is.
He's saying yes.
Darkness, the White Walkers came for the first time. They swept through cities and kingdoms, riding their dead horses, hunting with their packs of pale spiders, big as hounds.
Oh my God, I started freaking out.
Gosh.
Ooh, I almost had a panic attack.
Only what the little Lord wants to hear.
Oh my God.
It's true. That's what he wanted to hear.
Yo, this kid's dark, bro. He's so dark.
I mean,
He's like, tell me the worst you got.
Poor kid. He just wants to feel something.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I need to feel something. I can't feel my
The
body.
sky is blue because we live inside the eye of a blue-eyed giant named Macumber.
Maybe we do.
Macumber.
Wow.
You still don't remember anything?
What? Of course. How convenient, bro.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my God.
Hey, but the memory could come back, right?
1,000 times. You never fall.
I did, though.
In the wind and the rain, you never fall.
It's true, isn't it? What Maester Lewin says about my legs.
What did he say? Oh, no. Is he paralyzed?
I'd rather be dead.
Oh, God.
Don't ever say that.
I'd rather be dead.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Permanently, though?
Oh, my God.
Oh, man, he's so young, bro. Oh, I feel so bad.
Fewer eyes back here, my lady. But still too many.
It's 9 years
Poor
since I
kid.
set foot in the capital, and no one knew who I was the last time I came either.
My lady.
Welcome to King's Landing, Lady Stark.
Oh.
I would. We've done nothing wrong.
We've been instructed to escort you in.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know who's providing your instructions, but...
Follow me, Lady Stark.
Oh, no. And these guards are under the order of the queen.
I don't trust anybody over here.
Why would they welcome Catelyn Stark?
Cats.
Oh.
Upstairs.
Oh. Oh, I thought it was more nudity.
You take me for some back alley Sally you can drag into a...
Oh, it's like a...
It's a brothel.
Pleasure house.
A pleasure house, yeah.
Yeah, brothel too.
How dare you bring me here? Have you lost your mind?
No one will come looking for you here. Isn't that what you wanted? I'm truly sorry about the locale.
Do they have a history?
I know, right? Look what's going on here.
How did you know I was coming? Did you bring the dagger with you by any chance? My little birds are everywhere. Even in the north, they whisper to me the strangest stories.
He has eyes and ears everywhere.
Valerian steel. Do you know whose dagger this is?
Knowledge is his thing.
Well, this is an historic day. Something you don't know that I do.
Oh, he knows whose it is.
There's only one dagger like this in all of the Seven Kingdoms. It's mine. At least it was. Until the tournament on Prince Joffrey's last name day.
The way he tells stories is funny.
When the Knight of the Flowers unseated him, I lost this dagger.
To whom?
Tyrion Lannister.
Ooh, the imp. Oh, do you think they're trying to use him as a scapegoat, though? Like the two brothers using him as a scapegoat?
Or, like, he could also be helping them protect their secret. Like, we don't know.
We don't know if the two brothers went to Tyrion for help, right?
Yeah.
It's like, help us fix this broken thing.
Stark's bastard bleeds like the rest of us.
Ooh.
Oh, look, he's already there with them.
I know. And he's wearing all black. And so is this guy. Oh, he's being tested because he's noble. Half noble. Let's go. Let's go.
Go clean yourselves up. There's only so much I can stomach in a day.
Interesting.
I don't need him to be charming. I need him to turn this bunch of thieves and runaways into men of the Night's Watch.
And how's that going, Commander Mormont?
Mormont, like the other guy is Mormont.
Who's Mormont?
The guy with the Targaryens.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good news or bad?
For the Stark. Both.
Do you think Tyrion's going to deliver it to the Stark?
To give you this earlier. So we'll get told these days a raven from Winterfell this morning.
Only now the message his wife sent?
No, she didn't send the bird.
Oh, she didn't? Okay.
No. I wonder how long the ravens take to travel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wonder.
Perhaps you'd like to share it with your wife.
Oh, it's that their son
My wife is in Winterfell.
Is she?
Oh, he did that to show that he has more knowledge about the whereabouts of his wife.
Ugh.
And to make him feel like he's the odd one out.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about how disorienting everything is for him, you know?
Yeah.
One of several such establishments I own.
One of several. Look at that.
You're a funny man.
Ned!
He thought he was calling his wife a woman of the night. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Quick tempers, slow minds.
Quick temper, slow minds.
What?
Huh.
Where is that coming from?
Broke my nose, busted.
Ooh, they're gonna gang up on him? Oh no. Oh, this is like the Andy Dufresne scene in Shawshank.
It's an improvement.
Oh, look. It's an
I
improvement.
threw you over the wall. I wonder how long it'd take you to Hicks.
I wonder if they'd find you before the walls did.
What you looking at, Halfman?
I'm looking at you.
They need to do 3-on-1.
And what do you care about our faces?
I think they would look marvellous decorating spikes in King's Landing. Perhaps I'll write to my sister, the Queen, about it.
Wow.
It's basically one of those, like, my dad is more rich than your dad. And my dad is the president, so I get to say this.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
My father knew, and he left me to rot at the wall all the same.
Pip was caught stealing a wheel of cheese his little sister hadn't eaten in 3 days.
Wow, he knows information.
They hate me because I'm better than they are.
It's a lucky thing none of them were trained by master-at-arms like your Sir Roderick. I don't imagine any of them have ever held a real sword before they came here.
Wow.
So you kind of sympathize, right?
Yeah.
Your brother Bran has woken up.
Everyone's finding out.
We have the blade.
Which Lord Tyrion will say was stolen from him. The only man who could say otherwise has no throat.
thanks to your boy's wolf.
Peter has promised to help us find the truth. He's like a little brother to me, Ned. He would never betray my trust.
What? A little brother? I guess.
Don't tell
Listen.
anyone. I have a reputation to maintain.
Okay.
What has the boy told them?
Nothing. He said nothing. He remembers nothing. If it comes back to him,
We'll say whatever we like. I think we can outfox a 10-year-old.
then my husband.
I'll go to war with him if I have to.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
Says he's...
Damn.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm gonna tell Dad. I'm gonna tell Mom. This is so weird, bro. Oh, this is so weird.
Eddard Stark, the king that holds bloody lot of them until you and I are the only people left in this world.
Wow.
What the heck? Do you think he's like controlling over her? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, like who rules who here, right? Because she seems like she's more susceptible to him, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I know they did it, Ned. The Lannisters in my bones, I know it.
Littlefinger's right.
Littlefinger.
Can't do anything without proof. You watch yourself on the road, huh? That temper of yours is a dangerous thing.
My temper.
That's what Littlefinger said.
Gods be good. You nearly killed poor Littlefinger yesterday.
They have the same temper.
Aw.
He still loves you.
Oh. Aw.
Somebody's got a temper right here.
Me?
Portuguese
What'd I do?
temper right here. No, you didn't do anything. It's a joke. So where is she headed to now? Did she say?
I didn't catch it.
She's gonna take the King's Road. Maybe she's heading back to Winterfell. Oh, because when she left, Bran wasn't awake.
Oh, yeah. Now he's awake, so.
But do we trust that guy to guide her home? I don't know who that guy is. I didn't get a read on him.
He came with her from Winterfell and they made it, so. I think he seems alright.
Mine was some Tarly boy at the Battle of Summerhall. My horse took an arrow, so I was on foot, slogging through the mud. He came running at me, this dumb, high-born lad, thinking he could end the rebellion with a single swing of his sword. I knocked him down with the hammer. Gods, I was strong then.
With a hammer?
It's like Thor.
Probably shattered every rib he had.
It's probably Thor.
Stood over him, hammer in the air.
Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Now the Tarleys bend the knee like everyone else. He could have lingered on the edge of the battle with the smart boy. His wife would be making him miserable, and he'd be waking 3 times in the night to piss into a bowl. Wine!
This feels like a Shakespearean monologue.
It does. He's
Who
blonde.
named you? Some half-wit with a stutter?
So
It's empty, Your Grace.
What do you mean it's empty? So get more.
So everyone who's blonde is the Lannister?
To get in here. Kingslayer, get in here.
Oh, cousin. Oh, that's their cousin. He's so young.
What does cousin mean again? So who's the kid's dad? Who's the kid's parents?
I don't.
Uncles to their father. Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
Jaime Lannister, son of the mighty Tywin, forced to mind the door while your king eats and drinks and shits and... Who was your first kill, not counting old men?
One of the outlaws and the brother. I was there that day. You were only a squire, 16 years old.
Wow.
Your outlaw. Any last words?
I cut his head off, so now.
What about Aerys Targaryen? What did the Mad King say when you stabbed him in the back? I never asked.
Mad King.
Did he call you a traitor? Did he plead for a reprieve?
He said the same thing you've been saying for hours. Burn them all.
Wow.
That's all, Your Grace.
Burn them all.
Ooh. That's
man.
heavy.
That's heavy stuff. Holy moly.
Oh, what is this?
Is
Fields
this...
of-
Is this... There's no way this is...
Imagine.
There is no way I will run down the street naked if this is weed.
Don't say that.
I will do that
We
right
don't
now.
need, we don't need any
I'll do it.
problems.
I'll put it on the internet.
I won't allow it, guys. Can't lose you to the system.
That's funny.
Most of their slaves were given to them as gifts.
If you rule a city and you see the horde approaching, you have two choices: pay tribute or fight.
Wow.
Sometimes a Carl feels insulted by the number of slaves he's given. Carl decides his riders haven't had a good fight in months and need to practice.
Damn.
Wow, that's sad.
Until I command them otherwise.
Oh, I need to talk like a queen.
Oh.
A Khaleesi.
A Khaleesi.
Wow.
Not a queen. Not a formal English version of queen.
And she's adapted the attire too.
She's completely in control. And look, this might be weed. Babe, this is weed, I think. This is Mary Joanna.
It kind of does look like the plant of the soul.
It looks like it. The magic plant. Man, this is crazy. The music and the soundscape, sound design. Oh no, oh no, oh!
You do not command the dragon. I am Lord of the Seven Kingdoms. I don't take orders from savages or their sluts. Do you hear me?
Oh my god, with a whip!
Rakaro asked if you want him dead, Khaleesi.
No!
Oof.
Ooh.
Rakaro say you should take ear to teach respect.
Please don't hurt him.
What? I mean, I would hurt him a little bit. He kind of deserves it.
I don't want my brother harmed. Khaleesi vosalo memenem asisa.
He's learned his lesson. Because for them it's so foreign, right? Like, he tried to take her life.
Yeah.
That's death on sight.
Mm-hmm.
Kill these Dothraki dogs!
Nope. Don't do it.
I am your king!
Shall we return to the Khalasar, Khaleesi?
Ooh.
Khaleesi's in control here. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
He answers to the Khaleesi. Let's fucking go, dude. I hate this brother, bro.
Yeah, this brother is probably one of the worst characters.
He's the Joffrey with white hair.
Yeah.
He's the little pricky, little annoying little brother.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of...
You walk.
Ooh.
You walk.
You don't get a horse anymore. Wow.
They should have given the horse to the girl who was translating.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. And you take his horse. Boom.
Oof, look how cold it is.
And he's from Winterfell.
I can feel the cold. It's so cold.
And he's from Winterfell.
I know. He's not used to this, though.
I'm from Jersey.
They're all summer children.
I'm from Jersey. I get it. I get it.
Oh, I could feel the cold over here. Metal, cold. Ugh.
Yeah, right? Good catch. Metal, scraping.
Yeah.
Cold, chains, doors. Bars. Look at the sound design. Man, this is brilliant. Look, manual labor in the cold.
Oh, it is an elevator, though. Wow, they actually innovated an elevator.
But you have to have somebody rolling it, right?
Yeah.
Pushing it.
That's cool, though.
It still works.
No, that's really cool. All the way up the wall.
What happens if the guy doing the whole circle thing, if he stops or if he lets go, does it fall down? Probably not.
No.
Wow. This is the closest thing they had to Six Flags. All right, the ride's over, sir. Popcorn to the right.
Doesn't look like he had fun.
I know. Like, come on.
He wants
Brighten
his money
up,
back.
Snow.
Oh, I feel so bad for him. He was not expecting it to be this,
I mean, what was he expecting, right? Like, he hasn't really told us. Was he expecting it to be more chill? Like,
I have some thoughts that I want to say at the end.
he could share a fire with his uncle.
At least he has his uncle.
He has a friend, right?
Family.
Family, yeah. Real family. Non-judgmental family. That's the key. Oh my God. Ooh, I have a phobia of heights. 4 heights of heights.
I'm leaving this morning.
What?
He just got there.
My job is out there.
Oh, he's going out.
I'm ready. I won't let you down.
You're not going.
Oh man.
What?
Dude, he just got there.
But I'm better than every other.
Better than no one.
Humble. Be humble.
Here, a man gets what he earns when he earns it.
Meritocracy. Merits. Your value is judged by your merits.
We'll speak when I return.
Wow. So he can't even do the honorable part of being part of this which is going out
Which
beyond
is
the wall.
trailblazing.
Yeah, he's literally stuck in this frost ball.
On the wall.
When you're 100 miles north of the wall and you ate your last meal a week ago, you leave nothing for the wolves.
100 miles
And
north
how
of the
do a
wall.
bear's balls taste?
Bit chewy.
Damn.
What about you, my lord? What's the strangest thing you've eaten?
Do Dornish girls count?
Oh my gosh.
Look at this dog. You dog, you.
Dirty.
Dirty dog.
A night's watch is a joke to you, is it? Is that what we are, Lannister? An army of jesters in black?
You don't have enough men to be an army, and aside from Yoren here, none of you are particularly funny.
Half the boys you've seen training will die north of the wall.
Might be a wildling's axe that gets them.
Wildlings.
They die in pain, and they do it so plump little lords like you can enjoy their summer afternoons in peace and comfort.
Wow.
I'm not sure what I've done to offend you. I have great admiration for the Night's Watch.
Then nothing someone says before the word but really counts.
That's true.
Oh.
I believe that the only difference between us and the wildlings is that when that war went up, our ancestors happened to live on the right side of it.
It's not the wildlings giving me sleepless nights. You've never been north of the wall, so don't tell me what's out there.
Yeah, true.
He's a ranger, right?
Yeah.
Keep well, keep warm. Enjoy the capital, brother.
Oh, I always do.
I think he's the first one to kind of put Tyrion in his place a little bit.
To spar, right?
Yeah.
And he's technically a Stark, right?
I think he's starting to like me.
I think so too.
Into the tunnel and out the other side. He'll be north of the wall for a month or two.
That long.
A month or two.
Let's share the road. I could use some decent company. We'll be staying at the finest castles and inns. No one turns away a Lannister.
Ooh, nice.
So he's gonna travel like it's kind of like Uber Premium, right?
Yeah.
Like Uber X.
He's giving him an all-inclusive
At
trip
the Four
to
Seasons.
Jahaka.
Look, at Jahaka.
Jahaka.
At Jahaka, of course.
Achahaka.
At Jahaka.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what
When
is
was last time you bleed, Khaleesi? You change, Khaleesi.
Oh, she's pregnant?
Oh.
Hasava vesufun.
It's a blessing from the great stallion. Oh, they like worship the horses.
Wow.
But a man in full plate, sorry, Tawako. The Arak won't get through the steel.
This is like a made-up language then? Kind of like the Lord of the Rings?
Great question. Great question, probably, right?
Armor make a man bruise.
Slow.
Slow.
Rigid.
True.
Yeah.
Avian yezo anano ladiatan, mezo anan modikar asi azukwazar.
Ana rechar mehevi la jacon hackers.
Ito trakuyon torka calibar.
Cal Barbo.
A lot of names.
I know.
Hashmile yukonaka.
Jorah, his
Still
name.
is.
He was a warrior.
And a great honor, and I betrayed him.
He betrayed his father?
Ugiloi mawizi.
Voma wizi vekojine?
Asas lo alegri ha anhan. Muri alaya fi maijin allegra.
Ashiriti lo alegri jivikisi. Voma wizi vo alegre.
No rabbits, no ducks.
Anareti sanjani.
I don't think she wants to be dog.
What?
The Khaleesi have baby inside her.
What?
Ooh.
Already?
Yeah.
She does not bleed for 2 moons. Her belly starts to swell.
Rajazava vezufun.
Blessing from the great stallion.
Oh, she doesn't want to eat horse.
I need to ride to Quahor.
To Quahor. What?
Oh.
But they're starting to create a brotherhood.
Yeah, look.
Target hit a moving target.
Oh, he's helping them.
Oh, he's like a proud uncle.
Starks are all's right eventually. Winter is coming.
Eventually.
The fleeing south. The ones who flee say they've seen the White Walk.
Wow.
He swore it right up to the moment Ned Stark chopped his head off.
The Night's Watch is the only thing standing between the realm and what lies beyond.
Oh my goodness.
Become an army of undisciplined boys and tired old men. There are less than 1,000 of us now.
Wow, wow.
To defend the entire realm.
Yeah, against those things.
Tell her we need help. When winter does come, gods help us all if we're not ready.
This is like that big fight in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, where they have to defend against the evil monsters.
And this summer has been 9 years long, he said.
Damn.
Yeah.
9 years long.
I think so.
Oh.
Woo!
Netflix
Look
and
at
chill.
that.
Brought to you by the Dothraki.
It's a boy. Wow.
How do they know back then? Yeah.
Bro, he's gonna tell.
Anna, Sekenessa.
Oh.
It's
Intuition.
like a sixth sense. Woman's intuition.
Look at them though. They seem to have gotten along pretty
My boy Duncan from Dune.
famously here.
Yeah, finally settled down. Good job, Duncan. Oh, he did it before leaving. Of
Oh
course he
my
did.
gosh.
Yo, that's such a flex.
Look, he's
He's like, take a picture for Instagram. And then he's like doing it.
do it for the vine.
Yeah, do it for the vine.
If you see my brother Bran, tell him I'd visit if I could.
Of course.
Never walk again.
If you're going to be a cripple, it's better to be a rich cripple.
Take care, Snow. Farewell, my lord.
Yeah, like he's doing just fine, you know, with his condition. So he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You are late, boy.
Boy.
Tomorrow you will be here at midday.
Boy. She's not a boy, dude.
Your dancing master, Sirio Forel.
I'm gonna learn some salsa.
That is not the way, boy.
Boy. Why doesn't she correct him?
It's too heavy.
It is heavy as it needs to be to make you strong. Just so. One hand is all that is needed. Now you are standing all wrong. Turn your body side face.
Side face.
Yes.
And he's short too. He's like pretty small.
Short king.
The grip must be delicate.
Malleable. Flexible.
The steel must be part of your arm.
Oh.
An extension.
Just listen to me, boy.
I'm a girl.
Boy, girl. You are a sword.
Wow.
He knew he was calling her a boy on purpose.
You are not holding a battle axe. You are holding
a needle.
Begin the dance.
This is not the dance of the Westeros
Wow.
we are learning. The Knight's dance is the Bravos dance.
Wow, it's an art.
The water dance.
The water
It
dance.
is swift and sudden.
Wow, this reminds me of Avatar and the Last Airbender.
All men are made of water. If you pierce them, the water leaks out and they die.
Wow. They become bloated.
Try to strike me.
Maybe don't make a sound before you lunge.
Yeah, maybe don't go. Maybe
it's like
silent.
sneak attack, and you like scream it out.
Surprise! One arm.
Look, she's like giving it away.
I know. I'm gonna strike now. It's interesting though. It's painted as a dance. How brilliant.
Oh, she caught it. Oh, she's getting the hang of it.
Dead.
Wow.
Very dead.
Wow, this is so beautiful, actually.
Wow. Wow, what a scene.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god, what a scene. What a scene. What a way to end it. Oh my god.
That was beautifully done.
Wow. That was incredible.
Yeah.
You know what that represents?
Yeah. Well, you tell me. I want to hear your thoughts. Wait.
Wait, hold on. Let me just stop the recording. All right. Man, the ending scene, like, I kind of want to start from the ending, if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Hold on. I just have to recollect myself a little bit. The ending, first Ned Stark gets a glimpse, right, at the whole dance of water, the water dance.
Yeah.
His daughter learning how to fight.
Mhm.
How beautiful it is that his daughter is taking in the ways of the Starks, in the ways of the family, of the ancestors, of the lineage.
Yeah.
He's honored, he's proud. But then you see it get distorted into this fear. It's like it's almost as if he's seeing the death of her innocence. It's almost as if he's watching because he's hearing the clanking of metal. It's like he's not hearing the clanking of wood. He's hearing the clanking of war.
Yeah.
Because war for him, he told Sansa, or he told someone, I forget. He said war is easier than daughters.
Yeah.
And so he associates everything through war, is what I'm picking up with this specific episode, is that his experiences are filtered through the lens and filtered through the filter of a warrior, of a person who derives his value and his virtues from the battlefield, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that must have been his most vulnerable moments, was being at war. And so, and he kind of foreshadowed when he was speaking to Arya earlier, when he said that they're in a dangerous place. I feel like he got her the lessons with this kind of sword master so that she would learn, and he thought that it would be beneficial for her to have that self-defense advantage in knowing how to handle a sword, especially her little needle one. But then, just like you said, you see the shift where he's watching his daughter, and maybe he's even questioning whether he made the right decision in kind of like bringing them to a place where their safety becomes compromised.
Where they're not as safe as they once were.
Yeah, like,
and he's not able to protect her at all times. And so it's dawning on him this realization that I'm not going to be able to protect my little girl.
Yeah.
And she's going to have to learn, and maybe she's going to have to experience the dance in a way that's not within the training setting.
Yeah.
You know, like real world. It's like she's training for the real world. And nowadays, if you have a daughter, like you put her through college and you hope that she follows her dreams and that she, you know, rises to her own ambitions professionally and stuff. But back then, it's like you just hope that your kids survive.
Yeah.
It's so trippy to think about.
And that also showed in the story that the old lady was telling Bran, because she was saying that the children wouldn't survive and that they would starve in the harshest of winters. And so imagine, especially for the Starks, where their motto is that winter is coming, it's kind of like always in this survival mode that they operate in. And so, you know, watching their children grow up, there's always that kind of like tendency to want to strengthen them to be able to take care of themselves and to be able to protect themselves. But then there's also that fear because they understand very harsh conditions and they understand these darker kind of threats that may, you know, that just like may pose a threat to them as the winter approaches.
And you can kind of tell also that there's this level of unbotheredness, which is kind of what we touched on the last episode, where, for example, the sweet summer children are those maybe who reside in King's Landing, who reside further in the south. Right, it's the South America, it's the tropical Brazil, Amazon rainforest, it's the south, it's where the sun shines most, right? So people in the South, they are less prepared. I think the further away you travel from the North, the less prepared you are for the inevitabilities of life.
Yeah.
Of the coldness and the harshness of the winter.
Yeah.
So Winterfell is literally named after the fact that winter is coming.
Yeah, winter fell.
Winter has fallen here before. We have witnessed winter fall before.
Yeah.
We are the closest to winter. We are the Starks of the North. We are in close proximity to the wall that keeps out whatever the freak those freaking zombies were, those White Walkers, keeps out the White Walkers to the point where the wildlings, the people that they're saying, right, the other group or whatever, like they're running away from the North because they're in fear of the freaking White Walkers.
The wildlings, which are meant to be kind of like outlaws to the kingdom, right? They don't reside within the kingdom. They don't abide by the kingdom's rules, are retreating into the kingdom that they are rebelling against.
Yes.
And then that's why they're called wildlings, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
So that's
because they would rather live in the harsh reality of the untamed North than be confined to the rules and the bureaucracy of the South.
Yeah.
So that's what divided them, essentially, is what Tyrion said. So where he sees development and civilization as like the advanced people, the more honorable ancestors, is what he said. It's like that's what divided both of our people. So the more favorable ones were south of the wall, and the least favorable of our ancestors got stuck north of the wall. And those are the wildlings. And so if the wildlings are running away or infiltrating back into civilization, being anti-establishment as they claim to be, like I imagine wildlings as like hippies.
Yeah.
It's like forest hippies type of thing, you know? It's like the wildlings. It's like maybe they're natives, just like Khal Drogo's people.
Yeah.
It's like that's what comes to mind. It's like there's the wildlings, and they live beyond the wall, and they're savages, and that's what they talk when they speak on Khal Drogo and the Dothraki.
If they're living in that harsh cold, then I can't even imagine what kind of people that they are. It's like, how have they survived and adapted to life where there's like no life, right? There's no crops, there's no.
It's winter all the time, right?
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. I don't know.
That's crazy.
Because in my head also, like, it reminds me of the North Pole.
Yeah.
Kind of where the North Star is, you know?
Santa Claus is there.
Santa Claus, yeah.
Santa Claus is
Santa
the
Claus
wildling.
Santa Claus is coming. That's what this show is about.
Santa Claus is coming to town. We were singing different ones. He leaves
Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming. Santa Claus is coming to town.
I was singing the Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. I don't know. I don't have a good.
Did I ever tell you about the story of the Christmas when my mom, I don't know if she forgot or if she just didn't have time to like buy me a present.
Aww.
But it was Christmas morning, and I ran to the tree, and there were no gifts, like no gifts at all. And I was working so hard all year, trying my best in school and stuff, and like looking forward because I knew that the PS2 was going to launch later that year. Something like that. But it had to do with the PS2. And then I woke up, went to check the tree, nothing.
Wow.
And then I saw nothing, and my mom, we would struggle and stuff, but she would try her best to hide it from me at times. Like she never gave off the impression that anything was impossible. It's like, we don't have the means right now to get you a Nintendo Wii, but you'll have a Nintendo Wii one day.
Yeah.
And it so happened that like 5 years later, I ended up getting a Nintendo Wii. Eventually it came. It's like 5 or 4 years later. And then, but that Christmas, she saw how like sad I got. And it's just crazy because like I've never like revisited this memory, but she saw just how sad I got. And then I went to my room, and then she called me back and she said, wait, but you only checked under the tree. It's like, did you ever think about checking inside of the tree? And then I went to check inside of the tree, and lo and behold, there was like an envelope, like she wrote a letter. And then it's so trippy. I've never like thought about this. And inside was like $200 for like a PS2 or something. It's so crazy. I don't even know why I just brought that up.
Aww.
It's probably the gummies, but anyways, this is like part-time therapy too. But I don't know why I brought that up. Why did I bring that up?
We were singing about Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. Santa Claus is coming from the north.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a Christmas that was nice. Like, I'll like cherish that one.
It turned around for you.
Yeah.
And it showed you that your mom would do anything to make you happy.
Yes.
Like especially if she sees that
She tried her best.
Yeah.
Yeah. She like tried her best and did what she could. And that was really cool. Anyways, but yeah, back to Game of Thrones.
Wait, I have a funny story.
Okay.
And maybe it'll turn the
The mood around.
I have a funny story. Actually, it's not really a story, a specific story, but I remember as a kid, whenever it was Christmas, me, my brother, and my cousin, we would go, especially me and my brother, because my cousin, she's a little bit older than us, so she would be like, guys, don't go feeling around the gifts and trying to see what you guys got. Like, let it be a surprise, because we would have to wait until 12 a.m. to open them. And I remember we would go feel the boxes, and if they were kind of soft, we were like, "Oh, it's closed."
You are she's horrible with surprises. She hates surprises. Like, I can't tell her that, hey, I have a surprise gift for you. Impossible. The best chance is to not even say anything.
You can't, because then I will find out.
Yeah, then you get super dedicated towards uncovering it.
You know what it is? It's like, I guess maybe it's the pressure of, if I know what it is, then especially maybe not for people like in this instance, like, me, so you know what to gift me, and 99.9% of the time I'll love it, if not 100% of the time. But then my point is that I wouldn't like surprises, because especially in those cases, if it was kind of like, especially as a kid, if it was kind of like something that I don't know, that I wouldn't make any use of.
Socks and a sweater.
Socks I loved still, and sweaters, but if it was like something that I wouldn't make use of, like, it just didn't,
like if I got you a water bottle.
I mean something that for example, if it was like, I don't know, what would be a good example?
Like a water bottle that you don't really like the color of. It's
Yeah,
it's like a thing that you would just put in your
if
thing.
it feels random too, and then it's kind of like, oh, like, thank you, you know?
Yes.
And so I
Poland
like to
Springs.
know, because then that way I could kind of just already be like, oh, like, I can already set my mind to what I'm gonna receive, and then it's not a surprise, and then it's not that pressure and the spotlight in the moment of having a reaction.
So in other words, you want to be in control.
Yeah.
And you have to let go of that control. like that.
Hey,
Listen,
I'm a Capricorn.
Beep, 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 beep. It seems like we are out of time. I'll see you next week, same time, same day, same hour. This is Therapy with Callie. So it seems here that your problem is that you want to be in control all the time. You got to let go of control. You see, hold on. I see that you want to take control of the conversation again, Gabby. You got to just take it easy, okay? The thing here is that you want to be in control. You want to know what you're getting yourself into. You want to know that if you'll be able to match other people's expectations in terms of a reaction, in terms of like, oh, I love this so much. It's my favorite thing ever. I'm going to sleep with this bottle, with this water bottle. I'm going to feed it every day. I'm going to raise it. It's going to be the prettiest water bottle you'll ever see in your life.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what you want. You want to control, but you got to let go of control. You got to be like, what you gave me, Grandma? What you gave me? Oh, underwear. I need underwear. You know what? My favorite color. It's my favorite color. You know the favorite color. You know, it's like you have to just flow.
I know, but I get so awkward when it comes to like, I don't know. It's kind of like if I don't have the reaction that maybe people were expecting, then it kind of may become like this awkward situation.
I've had that happen with gifts where I'm like looking at it because I can't be fake.
And then you're just like,
yeah, like I remember trying to fake a smile growing up in high school, grade school, around family and friends and people. And every time I would try to be fake around people and put on a fake smile, my lips would quiver, kind of. And I would always be so self-aware that I always thought in my head, everybody knows I'm faking it.
Oh my
Everybody knows
gosh.
this smile is obviously fake.
But
I would be like...
It makes it worse, too.
Not like that exaggerated, but like on a micro level, if you had a magnifying glass, which is what I assumed everybody had, everybody's like looking around, it's like, Callie's faking it, it's a fake smile.
Well, see, that's exactly how I would live my life a lot. It's kind of like there was a magnifying glass so always hovering over me, and so it's like, you
I see.
know, I have to be respectful. I have to be, you know, I
Yeah,
have to
like you have
be
to act a certain way, and you have to be
yeah.
a lady, and you have to bow to your grandfather and to your grandmother, and you have to appease the realm, and you have to kiss the ring, and you have to know the politics. It's like, yeah, I completely get it. And those are usually the most close family, right? It's the
Yeah.
ones that have the most prudent hierarchy.
Yeah,
Follow the respect and the honor.
but then you can't even be genuinely yourself, you know? You still have to kind of conform to being, you know, following certain ideas and ideals that are
Right.
standards that are held and stuff, and that's usually what the politics of families are sometimes. So I don't think that this show, for example, is just a reflection of a kingdom. I think it's a reflection of
Family.
hierarchies and families that exist even in modern times and even in real world, because this is fantasy, but you know.
Plenty of parallels.
Yeah.
Plenty of parallels. And I think that in the most hierarchy of structures is when like that warmth that you get, kind of that's exclusive to when you are equals with someone,
Mhm.
to when you relate to someone on like a large scale, you know, like 100% relate to somebody. That's only possible if that person is equal to you, or if you perceive that person as equal to you, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But in these hierarchies, like they try to eliminate that equality.
And we see that with the Lannisters, especially. They Joffrey was saying that the Starks think that there are equals and stuff, and he's already asserting himself in the role of the king, as if the king is already, you
Yeah.
know, passing the throne down, which is weird. It's like, wait, you know, slow
Hmm.
your rockets. You're not married yet, and you're not king yet, but he's ready, and he's you know, I feel like he would be the type of king that would maybe abuse his power because of just how high up on his own high horse and high up on the ladder he holds himself, you know?
Yeah. Which again just goes back to all bark and no
Yeah.
bite,
Yeah.
because he's very theoretical. He's very, oh, I have all the answers. Matter of fact, I know what's the right thing to do. But then you see his mother act as an Aristotle figure who was a teacher to Alexander the Great. So all the princes were usually taught by like great intellects of the time. And it seems like his greatest teacher has been his mother, the queen, right? So it's not even the king. Again, like it's complicated. It's who's really like ruling here. Like the king doesn't rule over his wife properly, doesn't really have love for her, it doesn't seem, and he doesn't really rule over his son in like a nice way. It doesn't really show any father-son bonding between them.
Mm.
And then it parallels a lot with Ned Stark, because Ned is showing a close interaction with all of his children, with all of the members of his family, starting even with Ned, with John,
Yeah.
before they part ways. You know, he says like, I'll tell you all about your mother when you come back.
Oh, there's so much I have to say about about Ned and his children, and especially with John and what he said, but we'll like get to that because there's like so much.
You could start.
No, go.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, like we're already in it.
But what I was gonna say is that Ned Stark, I feel like it's very important that he has been a soldier before, and that now he's a dad, and specifically a girl dad. And I think that that is what kind of creates this balance within him, where he's not too rugged and not too cold. And it kind of reveals his soft spot. Like you see it especially towards his daughters, you know, just this kind of melting away of that kind of
Rigidness.
Yeah, rigidness and strength that he has to carry himself.
This persona,
Yeah.
this personality. And it ties into what he said. He said that wars are easier than daughters. I feel like that statement stuck with me, because I started thinking, like, as soon as he said it, I was like, wars are easier than daughters. How so? And then I started thinking, for him, it's easier for him to execute people, for him to be preoccupying his mind with the simple act of war, with the single act of violence, of conquest, of being a warrior. And it's easier for him to do that than for him to dive deep into the emotional depths of his own being in order to relate to his young daughters. So for him to relate fully with his daughters, he has to show them unconditional love, essentially, like a very mushy form of love, like you said, that's not guarded behind iron and steel. You know, he has to soften up a little bit. And so for him, that might be harder to do because his job requires him, just like you said, to walk around with a certain reputation, with a certain sternness, because everybody around each corner is trying to test him as the hand now.
Yeah.
Just like Jaime Lannister tried to parlay with him, tried to, you know.
Yeah, and I think that because he's so familiar with war, that he's just so familiar with having his guard up. And when you have daughters, you have to be able to let your guard down. And I think that the difficulty comes in war, you approach from a detached standpoint. And I feel like attachment is a much harder...
attachment becomes an anchor, right? So it makes you rigid.
Yeah, it poses more complications because then there's ties, and in war it's kind of just
you have more to lose.
Like it's just done. Once you kill someone, it's done, and then you just move forward. There isn't really anything attaching you to the act of war itself. But in the sense of daughters, you know, especially being a parent, like that's a lifelong commitment, and you get one opportunity to do it and to do it well as your kids are growing, and especially daughters, because women in this age too are not, aren't, he has to keep his guard and has to always be cautious and conscious of everything going on. And he has to do that not only as Lord of Winterfell when he's in Winterfell, but for his children, and now especially for his children in this unfamiliar place that's not their home.
Because he's always at war.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a parent who's always at war.
Yeah. So I could understand how it's more
Scary.
difficult. Yeah, like you have to marry them to other families' children
For
and
the
then,
sake of politics, and you have to kind of turn a blind eye to the reality and the nature of how they'll be treated.
Yeah.
Which is why Arya.
Arya, yeah.
I'm gonna call her Arya. So that's why Arya is like, how could you let this happen? And then you see that there's a confliction there. Like there's a conflicting thing where he has to kind of wrestle with these two identities. Identities as a father, obviously you don't want your daughter to go to a jerk off, right? You don't want to hand your daughter's hand off to a jerk off. But then there's the whole political play, and there's the whole honor system, and there's the whole virtue of a warrior, you know, warrior's virtue and honor. And also there's a friendship. There's an old friendship that maybe he's weighing it a little bit against his own family, which is the friendship with Robert. And that's what he told Catelyn too. He said that he's going to test and hope for the best in terms of whether or not his friendship with Robert stands up.
Yeah.
Like stands up and has footing when they finally find out if like who tried to kill their son. And then he's going to relay that to Robert and basically hope for the best.
Yeah.
You know?
And he has to take into account what he said too, right? In this sense, it's better to create an alliance. And so I'm sure he has an idea of the kind of people that the Lannisters are, and he's still willing to marry his daughter to the prince because if anything, that would ensure her safety even more. Because even though it puts her in this position of a bigger target, it also puts her in a position of more security and more power and more stability, which is what being in the royal family is. And so her becoming the queen should work more in her favor than not in her favor. And so even if Joffrey is not a pleasant person, just like Robert isn't a pleasant person to Cersei, it's okay because they are both, you know, secure and stable, and there's like,
But then my question becomes this, right? Like my question becomes, we have Robert and we have Cersei. How does the whole exchange of titles work? So if the king if the king goes away,
Mhm.
then the soon to be king, the prince, the next heir in line, assumes the throne.
Mm.
But then does he rule now with the former queen, or does the former queen also step down for now the king's chosen queen? Because then, like, how does that work?
I think that the way it works is that in order for him to become king, he has to marry. He has to have a queen.
Right, but then the presiding queen, does she stay?
I would assume that they step down. That
Right,
the
just like
king.
when you have like an exchange of presidents
Yeah.
in the White House,
I
right?
mean, that's what we see with the royal family in the UK, right? I don't know too much about the royal family, but
Mhm.
isn't it that when when the new king and queen inherit, right? The previous ones kind of resign,
Right,
right?
right.
I don't know.
I don't know, but like, anyways, you were saying?
No, that's it. Just that I would assume that they resign.
No, that there was but you were saying something before that. I literally took half a page of notes this time around. So I'm gonna just freestyle it. I feel like we're already freestyling.
Yeah, I've been taking a lot of notes.
I know, like I couldn't really take notes
And I'm
this
like,
episode.
I'm missing some parts. I can't pay attention. I'm like writing while paying attention to the screen.
That's crazy. Okay, so we have one thing that I wanted to touch on is the 6 million golden dragons in debt. So I wonder who's in charge of printing the money. Yeah. Is it the Targaryens because of dragons?
I don't know.
Is the coin printed by King's Landing? And if so, why would they choose a dragon as the exchange?
It could be that it was the previous king's currency and they just kept it, you know?
And the previous king was the Mad King?
Yeah.
Which Jaime Lannister took out.
Yeah. Which was the Targaryens that
Targaryen.
killed the Starks. Yeah, from what I'm understanding, because I was like trying to figure this out.
So now it'll probably change to stags, like golden stag coins.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Like print new faces onto it. Okay.
I thought that was interesting though, like them being
the
in
6
debt.
million.
Yeah, go.
I just thought that it was interesting because being 6 million golden dragons in debt with the Lannisters, if you look at like modern politics, right, countries usually that find themselves in a large kind of overbearing amount of debt to a specific institution or to a specific lender, a specific country, the country that owns the debt of that other country is like owns the country. So that leads me to wonder, right? It's like, who's really in charge here? Yes. It's like when you're 6 million in debt and you're the capital of all the realms and you're basically like the place, the main hub, like the central motherland, and you're in debt to one of the players, like one of the other realms, then that's an imbalance of power. You know, it's very blatant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Ned Stark was so shocked. It's like, how could you guys let this happen?
Yeah, and it seems like they do it so
nonchalantly.
Yeah, they do it so nonchalantly where it's kind of like, oh, we'll turn to the Lannisters. Don't worry, they hold us up financially and all will be fine. Even if we are still in debt to them, we'll just have more debt with them. And it just goes to show, right, who's really pulling the strings behind everything, just like you're saying. How much more control does the Lannister family have in regards to the throne and the king when they're controlling all of the finances and, you know, basically pulling all the strings? Like, I'm sure that the finances go towards all of the important kind of categories of upkeeping the kingdom, which is like war and soldiers, right? And sustenance and everything. So they basically are the ones that have the control over everything.
That are in control of
Yeah,
the kingdom.
yeah.
So a king who isn't in control of his wealth and of the wealth of his kingdom, he is controlled by whoever controls the wealth.
Yeah.
And that's what lobbying is too. Like when you see modern campaigns, which we're going through right now, you see that there are certain sectors that are huge lobbyists. And what that means is that they basically donate money in exchange for privileges and political privileges and laws being bended and being transformed. So it's all just basically power will always benefit a small few, a small select few, and usually at the cost of the majority, like usually at the cost of most of the population. Like most of the global population lives within the poverty line, like lives below the poverty line in terms of like measurement of wealth. And a very small percentage of Americans, for example, live in the prestigious 1%, you know, or 0.1%. And so usually that happens because the 1% and the small minority that hold all the wealth, they hoard it, but they also hoard information and knowledge of how to acquire that wealth. And so that's how you like usually see that people who are parts of this 0.1%, they say like, oh, like my son Nicholas has just gotten into Harvard. How about yours, Brandon?
Yeah.
Go, Brandon.
I was going to say that.
Go, Brandon.
What, Brandon?
The skit. I was like, my son has just gotten into Harvard.
Oh, am I Brandon?
Yes.
Oh, yes, my father. My father has acquired my entry into this fine establishment and institution of Harvard, and I am going to be the valedictorian of my class.
Oh, yes.
And receive the scholarships from every prestigious school.
My father has purchased a degree from all the major Ivy Leagues. He's spent a bloody big and great scallion on each one. I don't even know what scallion. They like exchange money and scallions.
I think scallions are like green onions.
Yeah, they are green onions. Rich people, they do their business in green onions. And that's what I've learned. From thorough research.
That's a nice little garnish, so I
telling
don't
you,
blame them.
That's where the money's at. Green onions. You heard it here first.
Green onions. Get your green onions here.
But yeah, $6 million in debt. So questionable if he, like again, like this guy seems like again, he told Jaime Lannister that he stands guard outside the king's bedroom.
Yeah.
While he's whoring around, eating, and just doing nothing all day. And that's the reality. Like that's why it's deteriorating. But what were you gonna say?
One thing I wanted to say was that it's very evident that wealth does equal power to an extent. That if you have wealth, then you have access. And so
money makes the world go round.
Yeah, so wealth can grant you power because you can buy your way.
Yeah, you could buy friends, you could buy influence, you could buy access to places that are inaccessible to most, you know. Everybody has their price, everything has the price. Yes, go.
And then it shows when Tyrion is telling the guy at the Night's Watch that when they do their journey, they will sleep in the finest castles and inns because he's just asserting the fact that his family comes from wealth.
Right.
So his family is all about money.
And I wonder how his family has amassed their fortune.
Yeah.
Because that's the big question. Because it seems like the Lannisters, they live a lavish lifestyle. And it seems like they're the rich, annoying, rich kids on the block. You know, those whose parents are either in the mob doing illicit activities or, you know, like God knows what they're doing. But it seems that they're that type of thing. It's kind of like the Draco Malfoys of life. You know, it's like, wait until my father hears about this. My father can buy all 7 realms.
They refer to the Lannister's dad as like the great Lannister or whatever, and he was the hand of the king for 20 years.
20 years.
So he's been involved in the kingdom even before his daughter was queen.
Ooh.
So he's been pulling the strings probably for a while.
Here's a conspiracy. Ready?
Yeah.
Conspiracy is that the hand convinced the king to get himself into debt. Because who better to convince a king, a ruling king, to get in debt with the Lannisters as like a trusted ally who's informing the king, like, no, my king, the best move here is to borrow more money from me.
Yeah.
It's like, and then the king is a mad king. I don't know if he's angry all the time or because he said he wanted to burn everybody down. It's like, burn them to the ground, burn all of them.
Gosh.
It's like, maybe he's just crazy, deranged, like, who knows? But
They
then
were saying he was laughing.
he was laughing?
Yeah.
Oof. Laughing? Like, while saying it?
He would laugh. I don't know the exact context of what they said, but they said that he would like he was laughing as whatever these events were unfolding. Yeah, before he got stabbed, I guess.
Wow. Okay.
Like while they were burning, while the Starks were burning, from what I understand.
Oh, I see.
So he is like a cynical kind of figure.
Like a crazy guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 6 million in debt, really interesting. Yep. Go.
But then, like you were saying, right? If the Lannisters, have this debt, like the king is in debt to the Lannisters, then it's kind of like that thing where it's, implying that you are gonna owe us, even if it's not in money.
Yeah,
you're gonna owe us. You have
you're
a
gonna
debt.
eat out of my hand, essentially. Yeah.
But the debt doesn't necessarily have to be strictly about
Monetary.
having to pay back the money. It could be that you have to pay back in other ways, but it has that kind of implication of,
you are my pawn, essentially. It's like you buy people by a lot, like making them become indebted.
Yeah.
So the best way to own anyone is you make them become indebted to you.
Yes.
And then, because usually people who find themselves further and further, deeper and deeper in debt, they have like gambling issues, drug usage, or whatever it is, like addictions and stuff that they have to nurture. And so it's just a bunch of weaknesses that lead you to the point of being heavily, severely in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And the person lending the money knows that. And then they could use it to their advantage and be like, oh, no, it's no problem. Like, you want 3 more million? It's no problem. Don't worry about it. I promise, don't worry about it. Until one day it's like, hey, you're going to do me a favor because I own you, remember? I own you. I gave you $6 million.
Yeah. Or you
Or-
pay
or
me
golden-
back.
yeah.
You find a way to pay me back, and you better do it by this deadline.
So
or
I
else.
need somebody to disappear.
Yeah.
And you just so happen to owe me $6 million. And I need somebody to do the dirty work for me.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But then it's interesting too, because it's the perfect kind of situation then, because you have a king who over consumes, right, who overindulges on everything, and who probably spends a lot of money doing it, right? He probably has to pay for those girls that he
Flaunts
gets
money
in these
around.
entanglements with and stuff, and
And
how
even
much
though-
he eats and drinks. And so it's the perfect kind of situation for someone who wants to keep pulping money, and someone who wants to keep pulping debt out of the king.
Right.
Yeah.
Because even when they were traveling, he has to have a full banquet.
Yeah.
Which is wild to think about. So even when he's in his own bedroom, always excess, always more than you could possibly need. And that food, like, he probably doesn't eat all of it, or maybe he does, and he just like eats it slowly throughout the day and he just leaves it there. But I bet you that he has his meal, takes a few bites and stuff, and then says, I don't want any more. and then they get all that food and they just throw it out.
And then he's ordering around their cousin, right? He's like, more wine.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, there's no more, it's empty, we'll get more. It's like
he drank all of it, and it's probably like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And
That-
he's like, I'm already done with my first wine. I need more. Are you stupid? Are you stupid?
it's
Is it
5
empty?"
o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, it's 5 a.m. every day. I start drinking. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
He gets the finest one imported from wherever the heck the finest place here is.
Yeah, from the deepest south. Like
Yeah.
he ends up in Italy.
The south of France.
It's like Game of Thrones is all these like fictional realms, and then like all 7 realms. And Italy.
Italia.
Where the king gets all the wine from. Italia.
No offense. It's actually
No offense.
It's actually a sign of flattery, okay?
I love Italians. That's why I do the voice all the time. It's true. That's
We
why
do
I'm
the
always doing it.
Italians from Brooklyn or from Jersey.
Hey, I'm from Jersey and Brooklyn.
From Long Island.
I'm from old Long Island. It's a good middle ground. Okay, doll equals disconnect. War was easier than daughters. All right, we talked about that. Yeah, like he knows nothing about his daughter, Sansa. She's like, hey, like, didn't you like this when you were 3 or 4? Hey, I thought you still liked it. You know, like you're 14, but.
Yeah, I think it's like I thought that was still very endearing and admirable because it just goes to show that he's still putting in an effort, you know? He wanted to gift her it even if it doesn't seem like it's something that she uses and now that she's older, but I'm sure that that's something that in retrospect, like as you grow older, you come to cherish those things. Like, even though you kind of rolled your eyes when you got it, because it's like, oh, Dad, Mom, like I don't even like this. Like I don't even use this stuff anymore. Come on. But then when you look back, and the older you get, the more you cherish, just like you said, the memory that you shared about your Christmas. It's like the more you cherish it, and the more.
You learn to appreciate it, and you learn to see that when parents do that, it's not that they're oblivious to what you like, it's that they're hoping to gift you with the most proudest and the most prime memory that they have of you.
Yeah.
Which in his case was when his daughters were babies.
Yeah.
It's like when they were just small little babies, and he held them in his arms, and he would give them dolls and kind of spoil them a little bit with gifts. So it's just the way that your parent still sees you, and so you should see that as a good thing. Versus if he got her a Kardashian makeup kit.
Yeah.
You know, like she would probably appreciate it more, and she's like, "Oh, I'm a huge fan of Kim."
Not sponsored. We're not marketing those makeup kits.
No. I'm just saying, like, as a joke.
It's funny.
Not
it's funny. It's like not sponsored though. Just like.
But like it would be more useful. But then it would also show that he sees her as what she is right now only, kind of. You know, it's like it's not really. I don't know how to explain it.
I think it's a symbol too of what you're saying, that he still sees them as his little girls, and so when he's gifting these dolls, it might be the fact that he is like a little oblivious to what they like now and what they're learning to like, which is why he's learning that Arya wants to learn how to deal with the sword, and then Sansa is more mature now and she doesn't play with dolls anymore, and so she's growing into a lady. And so I think it's his way, it's a symbol at least of him trying, or viewing, just like you're saying, viewing them still as his little girls and preserving those best memories of them when they were just these innocent little girls playing with dolls, and now they're growing up. And that's what we see in that very last scene when his face shifts. It's this new realization of the turns that are happening,
of the transformations, of the coming of age.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about that in terms of personal experience? With, like, as a girl with a dad?
Yeah. I feel like that's exactly. It's weird because watching Ned Stark, I see a lot of my dad. My dad is very much a stoic guy, in the sense of, like, he won't ever complain unless it's something worth complaining about. And so that when he does complain, or when he does mention something, that it actually affects him, or
in
that,
like a deep way, to the point where it forces him out of the. He's a silent sufferer.
Yeah.
Because that's what my grandpa is on my dad's side. Always been a silent sufferer. It's like no matter what happens, like he kept it to himself, silent type, would kind of like leave the room if he smelled any possibility of confrontation. But then it's more of an avoidant lifestyle too. Like it's a more detached and isolated, and like it's like a specific type.
And what I was gonna say is that in my personal experience, what I was gonna say, was that In the same way, though, that Ned is with his daughters, I feel like my dad has been that way with me. In the instances that we've had those moments where I see that he genuinely wants to show his affection and his attention towards me, and wanting to wanting the best for me, and wanting, I don't know, like maybe I'll get too choked up to talk about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But
it's okay. Like whenever you're ready.
yeah.
Whenever you feel free to talk about it, you can talk about it. But anyways, like moving on to the Game of Thrones, right? This episode, what's interesting too is there's Lord Varys, Littlefinger, and who's the other one? It's like Cersei. It's like there are three people who share the same belief systems, which is the idea that power at any cost, kind of, and information and knowledge and occultism, and there's a lot of sparring between like information and it basically embodies the whole tried and true wisdom that knowledge is power. It's like he who holds knowledge holds the keys to the universe.
Yeah.
And he who holds wisdom holds the ability to change the world, you know? It's like, yeah, it's very, very interesting. So I didn't really take too many notes. I was just kind of hoping that basing off of your notes, like I can bounce back.
I actually have one about that, right? Because that bald Varys, you said was his name, Varys?
Varies or Varys, yeah.
He varies.
It varies depending on where you live. It could be Varys or it could be Varys.
Varies.
If you're from North America, then it's Varys.
What are these names? I feel like some of them have normal names, and then other ones are like Littlefinger. What is that? What is that even supposed to be?
Is it like is his legal name Pinky?
Is his finger little?
Oh, his lower finger, his lower member.
Is that why he's always in a little pleasure house or something?
Overcompensating, right? Trying to project an image of grandeur.
Like, it's that Michael Scott meme.
Yeah,
he whips out his little finger.
Which, by the way, I completely forgot to acknowledge the hat for today. I am a man of many different hats, and this is my favorite show of all time.
Yes.
And at the time when we met, it was your favorite show of all time. And we bonded over, actually, The Office. And at the height of the pandemic, you and I were, like, texting, and, like, we met each other through Instagram. And then we would text back and forth and just send a bunch of The Office memes of Michael and Holly.
Yes, yeah, and that's interesting, right? Because most people would do the Pam and Jim kind of thing, but we're the parental,
the
love.
Mature ones.
We're and it makes sense too, right? Because they have that goofiness. I feel that we have, especially off camera. It's kind of like the marry you I will, and then like the
yes
they're just so funny.
And we do want to watch The Office and do a full reaction to every single episode, just to like relive it, right? And then we want to do it, and we want to laugh, and we want to experience it with you guys on this channel. Like it'll be a blast for me. Like I never get tired of watching The Office. I would always keep it running in the background of wherever I was. If I was like studying on my computer, it would be open in like a window on the side in the background. If I'm in the basement, one of the screens is playing it, And I haven't seen the show, like seen it from start to finish. I think it's been since 2018, like seeing it like focused. It's like watching it. I've like seen it, parts of it whenever it would grasp my attention, but yeah.
I feel like for me, it was right around the time of the pandemic, right before we met, that I was like watching it all the time. I was watching it. I would walk to college. I would walk I don't even know how many miles it was from my house to the university, to Rutgers, because I would walk from Newark, just walk through Newark, and it was like whatever many miles it was, but I would walk watching The Office on my phone.
Yeah, you said that you would jaywalk and cross the streets while watching and looking at your and looking at your cell phone
Oh
screen.
my gosh.
That's crazy, right?
I would eat alone at like Qdoba or
Subway.
at Chipotle or at Subway, and I would play it like there was so many instances where I was playing The Office, like kind of in the background, but not really in the background because my focus was on it, and I was just binge watching like every single episode, and then we met, and then I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. Like I found someone who loves The Office as much as I do.
And we would play it all the time too,
Yes.
like all the time.
So it'll be fun to experience it here on the channel, and maybe we'll do that soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Littlefinger, to me, all of them kind of just prove the point that knowledge is everything, and also Tyrion. Yeah. You know, so there's this thing about knowledge and about knowing the whereabouts of people. So Ned Stark has been kind of like placed in a position where he's the last to know about information. It's like, where's my daughter Sansa? The queen knew where she was. Where's my wife? Littlefinger knew where she was. And it's kind of like, oh, my son is awake now. I'm the last to know. You know, like people pass it down and they read it. So when Tyrion gave the news to Jon Snow, he had read the thing, right? Because he knew. He said, and your brother's awake.
Yeah. Yeah, and about that, right? Because the which I thought his name was Peter, that guy, or something, the Littlefinger guy, the one that was talking to Lady Stark.
Lord
Lady
Baelish is what I wrote down.
Yeah, they had so many different names for him, but anyways, he
Baelish.
He said that the Starks have quick tempers and slow minds. But what's interesting is this, right? We see the way that the King's Landing people kind of function and operate, and the way that they are is that they're quick, right? They're quick to gather information, and they're quick to know people's whereabouts. And so that's how you know that they operate that way with each other, where it's like the first one, you have to be the first one to in the know in order to have, you have to be the first one to have the information, because then you can use it to your advantage. And so they all operate in that way. So just imagine being in that like playing field with them. But then what I was going to say is that him alluding to the Starks as having slow minds, and that foreshadowing maybe Ned trying to fit into this environment and not being adapted yet to the way that they do things. What I was going to say is, what's interesting though is that even Tyrion, who's well versed in books, lacks knowledge of experience.
Right.
And so knowledge from books only goes so far, and that goes to show a lot in the people in the South, because the people of the North have a lot of knowledge and experience, which Ned shows.
They have a lot of experience, and they have a lot of knowledge. No, they have a lot of wisdom gained through experience.
Yeah.
And the King's Landing people have a lot of knowledge gained through learning.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
So there's a difference there. And it's funny too, because it's the whole paradox in modern schooling systems, where when you graduate Harvard or you graduate Rutgers or whatever university, really, the chances of you securing a job is not always guaranteed.
No, it's not.
like you're not always guaranteed a job right after college. And so usually jobs in the application, they say like, how many years of experience have you had? And the irony is that if you're freshly graduated, if you just came out of the oven, then you're not going to have experience. You're not going to have scars and like experience within the industry that you're trying to penetrate. And so it's usually there's a high cost of entry, and even the entry itself is not guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it's through experience. So you want to hire people who are experienced in combat. You want to hire a hand who you've seen and you've experienced like you've experienced a war with this person side by side. So you know how they act when they're cornered. You know how they act when they're in fear. Yes. You know how they act when their life is literally a pebble's throw away from being completely decapitated, wasted, pierced through the heart with a lance, just like the old guy was telling the story to Lannister. And so it's all about like also the experience of like, do you remember the first person you killed? And then you see that the King Robert really, like, what he focuses on is the fact that the person he killed shat himself. And like that's the focal point. That's what he cared about. And the other guy didn't mention that the guy that he threw a lance through his heart, that he shot himself.
Yeah.
So maybe the king worries a lot about the perception of himself as a warrior, as a man, as a king. And maybe that's why he focused on this other man's, you know, like humiliating death, maybe. And maybe that's his biggest fear.
And I can attest that in a near death or death experience that you do defecate.
Hey, she shot herself.
I can say that because when I always mention this, seems like I have to talk about it in every reaction because it comes up. But when I was in the car accident and I passed out, I had shat myself, and they didn't even clean it or do anything about it.
They like cleaned you like a baby.
I was there for hours. I could have easily gotten like an infection and whatever, but I was there for hours like that.
Laying in doo-doo.
Yeah, but it is true. It is true. I can attest.
It's the parasympathetic nervous system, right? It's the one that causes you to like pee and defecate.
I don't know, but it is known.
It is known.
It is known that you will poop when you die.
Hey man, if you're that close to death where you're caca in yourself, it's like you've gone to the wall and back, my friend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
I've
crazy.
seen the other side.
And
I
it
didn't
doesn't smell good.
I didn't want to come back, and I came back anyways.
That's crazy.
I'm kidding. I didn't see the other side.
But that's pretty wild. But yeah, so what are your notes so that we could bounce each other?
Woo! You gonna like my notes?
You lead us.
And guys, I'm so sorry, but today I am on my, how would you say this in the words of the medievals? She bleeds.
She has bled.
She has your phase of the moon. I don't know.
She has bled. It
the
is
cup
known.
is fulleth.
It's fulleth. The
of
cup
the blood.
runneth. The cup runneth over.
I don't even know what that saying means, but I've heard it a lot.
You're PMSing.
Yeah, I'm PMSing, so that's why I might have even been a little bit irritable towards Callie, but it's not even towards him. But I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, I suck.
And now the mood swing comes where I'm being a nice girl, a nice person.
Bipolar over here.
I'm so sorry.
I've been down like a roller coaster.
He had to give me a talk when we went on the bathroom break. He was like, "Hey, you better snap out of it, or I'm gonna snap you out of it."
I didn't say that. Come on. I just said, hey, loosen up. Loosen up, doll.
Loosen up, or I'm going to loosen you.
Hey, what the heck?
I'm going to loosen you up for you.
I know a guy. I'm going to call him over. He's gonna beat some sense in here.
Anyways, they asked if he wanted if he was gonna change into something different. Ned Stark when he arrived in King's Landing, and I think that shows what they value, and just like their millions of dollars in debt, right, or gold in debt, gold especially because gold is very valuable. I can imagine just how much that really means, but. It just goes to show that they value the material a lot. And so maybe even the fabrics that they wear are the finest of fabrics. And so when he's looking at Ned, he's like, don't you want to change into something, into attire that's more noble and more,
prestigious.
Yeah. Luxury.
And it's interesting, too, because usually it's the case where the royals usually resort to a lot of kind of like peacocking, which is flaunting, which is showing your beauty kind of on the exterior in the way that you outfit yourself and what you wear. And usually it's the case where they deck themselves out with royal regalia and golden items, like golden rings and golden chains and gold, right? Gold is like a fixating point, and that's why they made sure to emphasize 6 million golden dragons. And the reason why is because gold is everlasting. Yes. Gold stands the test of time. And usually gold is a projection, like the ancient alchemists, right? During the, I think it was during the Roman Greco-Egypt era, right? Egypt under the Roman Greco Empire, or Greco Empire. there was a lot of study of alchemy, and the alchemists believe that there's an inner transformation that's allegorical in the real world to transforming lead into gold, right? It's the transmutation of the soul. It's the transformation of a lead base materia prima is what they would call, which funny enough, they would depict the materia prima, which is the prime substance that makes up all the matter in the universe. They would manifest it as dragons, essentially. So it's the dragons of alchemy are the prime material that makes up everything in all of reality. It's the potential for creation, but also the potential for destruction. And it's the one thing that stands in the way of the alchemist when the alchemist is on his journey, on his King's Road journey towards the transmutation of his own soul into the alchemical gold. You have to relinquish and slay the fire-breathing dragon. And then it's interesting that in the last episode, Khaleesi was told the story of how dragons hatched from the moon and then sucked out the fire from the sun and basically explained the whole idea. And that's what happens in alchemy, is that the sun represents the masculine, the divine masculine, and the moon represents the divine feminine. And then it's cool too how her hair is white, and it's white, the color of the moon, and so she has the lunar energy. And Khal Drogo is this tanned kind of like mighty warrior of the sun. And so then they come together and there's this eclipse, there's this clashing of different worlds, this obfuscating of like temporary darkness, but then it's beautiful also, because in the darkness and when you're witnessing an eclipse, it's so beautiful that human eyes, mortal eyes, are not worthy of viewing the eclipse. And that's why you can't view an eclipse with your bare eyes, because you are not worthy to see the union of these two gods come together, of these two generative aspects and energies of the universe, these things that sustain you on a conscious, unconscious, spiritual level, on a human level, controls the water in your body, controls the waters in your mind, and the waters of the deep unconscious, the deep recesses of your inner universe. Everything is as above, so within, as without, so, you know.
Which is what the Swordmaster was telling Arya too,
Water.
right? Yeah.
The Swordmaster was relaying the Bruce Lee tip, be water, my friend.
You can call me the animal connoisseur, if you will, because it's crazy that you mentioned the sun and the moon, and especially in relation to Khaleesi and Khal Drogo, right? Because I learned that horses, the most deaths of horses happen under the full moon. And that vets usually, especially horse vets, can't get a full night's sleep. Like, they have to be the most alert and awake during the full moons, because for whatever reason, the brain waves of the horses kind of go haywire, and it causes like a physical sickness where horses die in multitudes of numbers under the full moon, right? And especially under an eclipse, a solar eclipse, right, which is when the moon covers the sun, especially under the solar eclipse.
What?
For whatever reason.
Is this real?
This is real. Yeah, I think it's real. I read it in a book I was reading.
God.
It's really crazy.
Do you think that that's why Khal Drogo's fate is to kind of bow before his wife? Maybe that's the prophecy here, is that the moon overtakes the sun?
Maybe. I think what's interesting is that I've been noticing he's very much like a masculine energy, right? And the horses also, his horse
horses in general are very masculine.
Yeah, and they kind of resemble that. They travel a lot during the day, which now makes a lot of sense. Like, they travel in the sun. They don't travel at night, which is interesting, because usually in high heat, you would want to travel at night because of the cooler temperatures. But because the horses are influenced by the moon's phases, especially the full moon, then it might explain why they travel more during the heat of the day and during the sun.
Wow, I've never thought about that before.
But then that could make sense too, where it's like this unity, like you were saying, where she's kind of like the essence of the moon if the dragons hatched from the moon, right? And then he's the essence of the sun. And so who knows? Like, it's gonna have to have that balance where the moon has its time to shine just as equally as the sun has its time to shine.
Right.
You know, and we're seeing that they like in bed with each other. There no longer is this kind of fight of dominance, and that they've kind of found this balance, this kind of dance with each other. You know,
where both of them enjoy it
yeah,
now,
yeah.
because it seems like she's growing in love with
yeah.
Khal Drogo, which is what we hoped for. With the first episode, we even said like we hope that there's like some silver lining here where it's not all entirely bad all the time. Like she grows into her character more, and she grows into this like position of a Khaleesi, which is cool too, because when her advisor, or the old advisor of her father, who now is under her orders and not her brother's orders, which is what we found out. But he also said like, oh, so you're speaking like a queen now. And then she said, no, not a queen, a Khaleesi. So it's interesting because she's learning the ways of the people, and then also reinventing old traditions, like ways of doing things. It's like usually, God forbid anybody is threatened or anybody's life is threatened within that tribe, it's immediate death. And that's why when she showed mercy, to them mercy is something of like, is akin to weakness. It's like it's the most weak thing you could do. It's like this lady's crazy, and then they kind of look at each other, and then the girl's kind of like, meh, whatever, it's kind of like, she's crazy, she's the queen, I guess we got to follow it.
Yeah.
But it's cool though.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but I think it's cool.
It's very much like Paul Atreides in the Fremen people, right? It's like he goes, and then he also kind of adds new layers of not only does he like acclimate to their ways, but he also adds his ways into the Fremen way, and so
It adds character and personality. And it's funny you say Dune, because I was literally going to say Paul Atreides. I was going to say that in the prophecy of Dune, the people of Arrakis said that the Lisan al-Gaib will know their ways as if they are as if their own.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like she was destined to be the Khaleesi, right? And she seems to be adapting to their ways fairly quickly, and she's already pregnant, right? So she's already going to birth a child who is of their people and of her people. It's the meshing of the two.
Who's going to be the future leader, right? So with the fall of it like creates the whole dynamic of kingship again. It's like it's the soon to be prince. And I think that like this turn and shift of events happens because Daenerys, as the Khaleesi now, she's gained strength in her knowing that her value derives not just as a political ploy, a political play, but as the potential for creation of life in general. It's like as the most important being within the mythos and ethos of that clan. It's like the woman queen has powers that the king doesn't have. So Khal Drogo doesn't have the reproductive creation process powers of literally molding and creating, bringing a soul into this realm of existence and morphing and shaping like clay and creating life.
Yeah, and it's going to be a boy. And it's interesting too because it actually kind of makes sense now. If the horses do die, for example, if it's under the full moon in this sense, right, that would be really funny. But if horses are dying, right, that explains why they eat their horses.
Right.
They eat horse, right?
But then their deity is a horse.
Yes, but
which contradicts it. So like you eat your god, it's like, how does that work? But then also if you look at like the Christian faith and other faiths, they say that God is everywhere you look. So everywhere and within everything, there's the whole Shinto tradition in Japan, where they believe that every object, every inanimate, animate, organic, inorganic object and material is imbued with divine essence, is imbued with the divinity, the one, the consciousness of the sun, the rays of the sun. It's the obelisks. It's the first ray impregnating Mother Earth and creating life. And so within everything, even the meat you eat, the vegetables, the vegan replacement meats, whatever you consume, it's imbued with the same underlying element, the same prima materia.
Yeah. And it's interesting too because If
So
you
they're
think of
technically eating gods like everybody else.
yeah. Everything shares the same energy,
Yeah.
right? I think that's the
I don't think
gist of
everything
it.
shares the same energy, but I think everything is a vessel and a conduit for energy, and everything is energy.
Yeah, yeah.
I think everything is energy vibrating at a certain frequency. So it's like water is liquid at a certain frequency, at a certain vibration, and then it's solid at another vibration, and it's gas at another vibration.
But the essence, like the same essence of energy, yeah. Like, but what's interesting is this: she said she made it clear that she would not consume horse, right? Because she was going to birth the son of the stallion, which is Khal Drogo, and so I thought that was interesting because. Well, I'm still trying to figure out what that means, but if she doesn't want to consume horse, then what does that say? Specifically. Is it because they...
I think that it might be like a connection thing. It might be just, I don't know, like it's like if you ask Starks to eat wolf.
Yeah.
It's like they're not going to eat dire wolf. Like they're not going to want to eat that.
But especially while she's pregnant. So it's kind of as if her son or baby, right? She said it's a boy, but it's kind of as if her baby is...
part horse.
Yeah.
Like it's imbued with the spirit of the horse god.
Yeah.
Which is why they said like if the horse god, the great stallion willing, you know, like it'll be a healthy boy or something, you know?
That's crazy.
Yeah, because then it's like she's eating the flesh of the thing that she's, you know, that she carries within.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't even imagine how the things that they said they were willing to eat. They were willing to eat dog and horse and rabbit and duck. I've eaten duck before.
Is it good? Like at a Chinese restaurant?
I don't like it. No, I've eaten it in Portugal.
Portuguese duck?
Yeah, like they
like Portuguese?
Portuguese. Yeah, it was
Port of geese?
It was geese on a porch.
Oh, they were just chilling on the porch and you
Yeah.
just ate them? You just took a big bite out of them?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
They're like this. I don't know. I feel like any.
They say it tastes like chicken. They say everything tastes like chicken.
No, it does not.
They say alligator tastes like chicken, which they
Ew.
eat alligators in the South. I think in Louisiana, in Florida, like they eat alligators, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they eat frogs a lot. Like they said, frogs taste like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken, right? But then everything's also about seasoning. I think everything's more about like texture.
If you don't put seasoning on it.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Oh man, I don't want to think about frogs and alligators. I'm gonna throw up over here.
Hey, don't do it, lady.
I'm gonna get nauseous.
What's your next note?
Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot about my notes. We got so. Oh, see, so the Mad King was laughing as Ned Stark's father and brother were being burned.
Oh yeah, that part.
So I don't know what happened. He set them on fire, and then he ordered as Jaime, or I guess he didn't see that Jaime was gonna kill him from the back, like stab him in the back, literally. But he ordered whoever it was to burn them all.
Yeah.
So whoever was there as this was happening, we're just watching, like as bystanders to this event of people being burned. And part of those people were the Starks.
500 people.
Yeah.
Witnessed it and did nothing.
Yeah.
And they also killed Ned Stark's sister, right? Because like
Yeah.
that's why Robert is so vengeful towards the Targaryens. And it's interesting because again, Robert seems to hold more of a grudge towards that than Ned Stark. It's like Ned is more of a let go and let God type of guy, like let the destiny kind of like pave my path type of dude.
I think that there's something about the crypt underneath the Winterfell too that kind of brings this peace after death. It's like now they are kind of resting in peace and they are returned home, right? And so they're no longer a part of the King's Landing. Like now they can just
rest at home, and they're easily accessible, and they're with you at all times because they're literally underneath your home.
Yeah, be reunited with their family. And
Right.
so we can let go of those events of the past and we can just move forward. And I think that it also depends on faith too. Like I haven't seen King Robert show any sign of faith towards any gods, like outwardly, like in a very, strong founded way. So I don't know that he even believes in anything, or maybe that's what keeps him from being able to let go and
Right.
not being able to forgive and not being able to release, because it's only causing struggle for himself.
Yeah, and you could tell that Ned Stark is more of a religious man because we saw that in the Godswood portion when he was talking to Catelyn, and he said that he believes in the old gods or something like that. And you can also tell that there's a difference, right? It's like if you live in Winterfell, then you have the opportunity daily to go down to the crypts and to make peace with the loss. And then you see that Robert, hasn't visited Winterfell in so long, and the first place he wanted to go as soon as he arrived was go down to the crypts.
Yeah.
So usually it's the case where you receive royalty in the great halls and the great dining halls, and you show them around the castle, but the king knew exactly where he was wanting to go, and he didn't waste any second. Yep.
And then what's interesting is that I think that I'm just curious to figure out how, like, what the kings, I'm curious to find out more about the faiths, because there seems to be different gods and stuff. So I would love to know more details about what it means to worship different gods and different religions and faiths that exist within this world.
Because we also saw that Catelyn is a believer of something because she created a little protective talisman or just artifact, like a religious effigy, and placed it right above Bran's bed. And we don't know what influence that had in the fact that he was able to awaken. It's like we don't know if there's mythical powers because there are dragon eggs. So, like, who knows? Like, this is kind of like Lord of the Rings, anything goes. Elves, dwarves.
White Walkers.
Yeah, like White Walkers. There's freaking elves and dwarves, and there's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a fantasy. It's a mythical world. It's not. It's grounded in reality as far as the human nature aspects go. As far as the Robert Greene 48 Laws of Power, dictates kind of like is the Bible for survival in this world. It's like people abide by the Machiavellian, the Prince and Lao Tzu. I think it's Lao Tzu, right? The Art of War. But yeah, like it's more of these things.
Yeah. And then I wanted to point out that Jamie said, would it have made a difference if I stabbed him in the belly and not in the back? And I think that it would make a difference. I think that it's just hang on, let me get my thoughts together. But it's just a telling sign of the kind of person he is already, that we see that he hides things in the shadows, just like his relationship with his sister. And so the fact that he couldn't even face the king that he slayed and stab him in the belly instead of the back, it just really emphasizes the kind of person that he is. It's somebody who's sneaky and who's
a coward, who can't look people in their eyes. And when you're taking a life, just like when we were watching Lord of the Rings, just like drawing another parallel, but when we were watching Lord of the Rings, like they were talking about like how Frodo witnessed the life exiting the eyes of that one person who tried to kill him in the forest, who looks like Ned Stark too. Like, is it the same actor? Is it the same actor?
The Boromir.
Boromir, right?
Right, yeah.
Is that Ned Stark?
I think it is.
I don't know. Like, it has like the same build.
I think it is. And what I noticed too, because people did mention this one, is that Catelyn is Hermione's mom. which
when
showed
she
very
wipes
briefly.
the memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And people were saying that there's going to be a lot of Harry Potter cast in Game of Thrones, so that'll be fun to see. I want to imagine Daniel Radcliffe makes an appearance.
Yeah, imagine Harry
That'd be
Potter
funny.
saves the day. That'll be
Yeah.
crazy.
I wrote down that Baelish, when he was talking about Catelyn, said that she's a woman worth fighting for.
Mhm.
And then Ned later tells his wife that he still loves her, right? That
Oh, that he could tell that Baelish.
still loves her.
Yeah.
And I think that that's interesting because she referred to him as a little brother and a friend, and then he seems to have this kind of
Perversion and perverted view of her and lustful and kind of like showing that he has control or that he knows her better than Ned Stark knows her. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to know more about that, but I think that that is also going to be interesting to see because, you know, she's leaving, but there's this tension between Ned and him, and that's going to be interesting to watch unfold. What else do I have?
I was just going to add real quick to the last point about how it is different if Jaime chose to kill somebody and looking them in the eyes versus backstabbing. And I think that there's a valid parallel to be drawn between the Khaleesi, you know, taking it from behind and then turning and looking Khal Drogo in the face.
Yeah.
And like eye contact is important.
Yes.
So I just want, like, it sounds crazy and it sounds silly, but it's true. It's like eye contact is where you establish the connection, right? So if you're going to take somebody's life, I think that the minimum that you owe that person is the knowledge and the wisdom of who was the one to take their life.
Yeah.
Like, who took it from you. It's like not even knowing is crazy.
Yeah, and imagine that. It's his hand, the person that he most entrusted, because we see that Robert most entrusts Ned. And so for the Mad King to most entrust someone like Jaime, I
Wait,
wonder
I don't think
what the
Jaime was the hand.
No?
No.
Oh, no, he wasn't the hand. His dad was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I confused it. But,
Yeah.
But still, his dad was the hand. And so it's like this weird, this weird dynamic. It's like entrusting that family, even though Jaime goes and turns around and just stabs him in the back. And so it's this weird thing that's going on,
And he's known as the Kingslayer, too.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting how Robert, the king, the presiding king, chose the Kingslayer to protect him while he sleeps.
Yeah.
It's just ironic.
And how weird is that too, right? He says that I feel like it's meant to purposefully be that way because he said it as if it's like, yeah, and I made sure that you will just stand there and hear me, drink and do whatever all day and mess around, right? And how weird is it that what if there's messing around going on between the queen and the king when and if that ever happens, like when they made
Probably.
their children, right? And so he had to stand there and listen, and
Witness,
so
yeah.
that's why there's like this resentment when he's like talking about the that he's willing to go to war for her, and that he would face the king if it ever came to that, and that they could write a ballad about it, and that it would be the war for Cersei's, as CUNT, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's weird. It's like this possessiveness, but then it's also he has to still endure the fact that she is married to the king.
Yeah,
And-
he has to swallow his pride
Oh, that's
and
so
any
weird.
idealism, which I just wanted to quickly segue into a thing before I forget, because I didn't write too many notes. But Jon Snow arriving at the wall, and then kind of his fantasies and his illusions of what he thought the wall would look like, and his expectations that he had built up probably on the ride towards the wall, viewing it as a noble cause, and it's this thing that the Starks have protected for over 8,000 years, and it's honorable. And then he arrives there and he sees that it's just this bleak kind of like group of misfits and just of thieves and people who have committed even more atrocious crimes. And it's the place where people are sentenced to either die or to whatever. But he arrives and then there's a crumbling of expectations, right? It's a realization of reality, of the sheer cold kind of like essence of what reality can be, you know? And so he's stripped of his royal regalia, and he's stripped of his title as a Stark, as the bastard son of the Ned Stark of Winterfell. And so he becomes, and he's reduced kind of, but he's also normalized, and he's equal now, right? He's equalized, and even though he excels in his warriorness and his ability to fight and to be in combat, he is reminded by his uncle Benjamin to always remain humble. It's like, you're not better than anybody here. Everybody's equal. And so you could tell that his uncle Benjamin has embodied what it truly means to be part of the wall, to be a member of the Black, right?
Yeah.
And that's why he walks into the bar, and he, comes face to face with Tyrion, who deems to be this guy, this holder of wisdom, of knowledge, of knowing, knows everything. And he tells him, like, hey, like, you probably think that we're just pathetic, that we're just a group of thieves and we're a group of villains, and that this is, like, not a noble task. But my point is that Jon Snow mimics that descent into the underworld, where the hero is forced to strip off his armor, to let go of his sword, to let go of these things that he has basically hung his identification on. His meaning, his virtue, his value as a man has been hung on the on the sword, on the shield, on the armor, and then he's stripped bare to just, what are you good at? It's like, are you capable to do the bare minimum to keep yourself alive, to survive? And then, are you capable of teaching other people? Are you capable of being a teacher, of basically packaging these, like, things and these hardships that you've learned, being a bastard, growing up, having to excel as a warrior, having to prove yourself a little bit more than your brothers who are born into noble name, who are born in a crib made of gold, and who are force-fed, who are fed with spoons of silver, It's like, you have to prove a little bit more, because you're an outcast, and you're always going to be an outcast. And so you equal yourself as a bastard to a dwarf, for example, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it makes sense why the episode is called Lord Snow, because they were referring to him as Lord Snow, and I think that when they were doing that, it was meant to be in this mocking way, because he might be the one there who has the most kind of nobility. He comes from a noble family, which is the Starks, right? But he's still Snow, which is the bastard. So it's kind of like a recognition of the two sides of the fence that he's on, ironically, right? The wall, the two sides of the wall. He doesn't belong anywhere. He didn't belong in Winterfell because he was a bastard, and now he doesn't belong here amongst these lowly people because he's not a criminal. He's not somebody who was exiled. He's not somebody who needed to go there.
He's not from the trenches.
Right.
He's not from struggle.
Yeah.
Like, he's a halfling, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like he's half.
So then now it's kind of like, just like you're saying, he has to find this balance where he humbles himself because he's come from this family who's given him the opportunity to learn how to become a great fighter, and who's given him the privileges equally as much as the other Stark children, right? Because he's taken care of, he's well fed, and he's well dressed and whatnot. And so he has to humble himself, but then he also has to not reduce himself as just being a bastard either.
Right.
And so
he
it's
can't lose inspiration and
Yeah.
the aspirations of conquest, of proving yourself.
Yeah.
And also, his uncle told him that it's a meritocracy.
Yeah.
So it's merit-based. It's like, you earn your respect here. It's like, it's earned. It's not given.
And I thought that it was very admirable to see him teaching the other people how to fight, and then Tyrion also giving him the nod of approval too, because
Love thy enemy.
yeah, and I think that what Tyrion said, because he seems like a people person, he's able to read people, and he inquires a lot, and not just in books, but he said that he was speaking to the master of the Night's Watch, I guess, like their leader, and he was inquiring about the men of the Night's Watch, like the newcomers and stuff, and who they are. And then the stories that he was told kind of gives away that they never even held a sword, that they've never done this kind of thing, and yet they're still expected to protect. And so with that knowledge now, John can help them because he can bring his strength, which is being able to wield a sword, and kind of instruct them. And then it brings purpose and value to this cause of these undisciplined boys, like they said, and giving them the power to do what they're meant to do on the wall, which is to protect.
Yeah. And it's almost as if like so Tyrion's first move was to understand everybody's life story, because if you understand everybody's life story, then you understand their motivations.
Yeah.
And so then you strip them from the label that society has, kind of tattooed on their body, on their forehead, and you strip them of any labels of being a thief, of being a petty thief, of being a R-worded, like the RAPI, thing, which one of them is, and they said. But then my point is, like, you go beyond the label, the societal label, and you see people as humans, as people, and then you start seeing them as men. And then you start seeing them as men your age. And then you start kind of relating and seeing that, like this person, they're not all evil, because there is no such thing as pure evil. Evil will always have the potential for benevolence, and benevolence will always have the potential for malevolence.
Yeah.
So it's the yin and yang. It's the little dot within the black, and it's the little black dot within the white. So it's the perfect harmony. But then Tyrion uses information, because once you understand people's motivations, then you can control them. And that's the whole Machiavellian principle, essentially. It's one of the many principles. I think that, like there was another part that I was going to say, but I forgot. But yeah.
And it's interesting too, because their first impression of John is to kind of group together against him, and then in the end you see that when he's helping them, that kind of melts away. But it makes sense because they're coming to this new place too. I don't know how recently they showed up there, but it doesn't seem like they're well versed in it yet, in the lifestyle of the wall yet, so they might be newcomers just like John is. But then that could just be a defense mechanism, you see this person who knows what they're doing, and so you're gonna put on a defense mechanism of
being intimidated.
Yeah.
And I think it's within everybody's best interest, and I think this is what Tyrion was like nodding in approval to John for. It's in everybody's best interest if they're all equally prepared, armed, and skilled to take on whatever comes to them from the other side of the wall, right? So they are protectors of the seven realms. So what the old guy, who seemed to me like he was blind, maybe because he wasn't making eye contact, he was looking into the void and speaking, he may be a seer or a prophetic kind of like shaman of sorts, but he was saying that there's like the wall has been reduced to just a group of criminals and old men. So it's in everybody's interest, when the hero overcomes the disillusionments with the world and overcomes him or herself, which we see with the Khaleesi. And so there's a parallel between the Khaleesi overcoming her like victimhood, and you see Jon overcoming his victimhood and finding value in being of service to the kind of like upgrading of everybody else around them. And so when you raise yourself by lifting others. And so you become a platform and you become an elevator. And I found it really poetic too, how it's like Jon is riding this elevator all the way to the top. And at the top is when he like has this like view of the whole thing that he's supposed to be protecting, or that he's now a protector of. And it's so vast, like it seems so vast and so infinite and endless. And that's what he has to protect, not only his family, but the entire world from, essentially,
And at the top is where his uncle tells him, you're no better than anybody else, which is ironic, because you have to, the wall is literally a symbol, which we talked about on our podcast with like Humpty Dumpty and the wall. Like the wall is your your image and your hubris, and when you're sitting upon your high wall, but then you end up coming back down from that, and then that's when he's back on the ground teaching them. So at the top he's like, but I'm better than them, like it's not fair, and whatever. And then he comes to the realization that he is no better than them.
Yeah.
And that the whole point is that they all are going to be there for each other, and that they all have a greater purpose to fulfill, which is protecting.
Because height usually puts things into perspective. And so there's like parallel motifs and like archetypes too. Like there's the high walls, there's the high horse, which we saw with Robert. There's the ivory towers, where it's easy for you to fall from, which is what happened to Bran. And so it's from extreme heights, elevation of the self, that you can put things into perspective, and not only put the world into perspective, but put yourself in comparison to the world. And then that's how you gain real perspective. It's through nature. It's when he's glancing at all that there is beyond the north. It's like far into the north. He can see like as far as the eye can see. And very few people have come to the wall. And it's also interesting how the smallest one of the Lannisters, the smallest person, the most underrated one, the underdog, is the one to find himself at the highest point within the realm, overlooking this untamed realm of possibility, of pure potentiality, and his reaction to it, to all this seriousness, to all this idea of perception and perspective. Because of the wisdom he has, he knows that everything ultimately in the end results in death and decay, and that all of this is just a ploy and a play for power. It might be kind of like useless, essentially. Like life is absurd. And that's what Albert Camus, the philosopher, speaks of in the myth of Sisyphus, which is a great book. Talks about the absurdity of life and how absurd everything is, and that humans struggle and are always in this perpetual wrestling match with the universe, who is indifferent by nature, right? It doesn't show any favoritism, it doesn't seem, but the universe itself is indifferent, and we humans suffer from a perpetual, eternal attempt at establishing meaning in a meaningless universe. So life itself is a paradox, and that's what absurdism is. And I feel like Tyrion embodies absurdism.
Yeah.
But that's why Tyrion peed off of the wall.
Just drops the gems and is like, but yeah, anyways, that's why he peed off the wall.
Yeah, but that's why he peed off the wall, essentially.
Oh, man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Whew. Anyways.
Yeah, continue the notes.
Yeah. I have the, let me see. The King's Council. Oh, so it seems like everybody within the King's Council that we meet does respond to the hand. So the hand does have some form of power that we see, because they say, we serve you now. Like we kind of follow your lead now. You're the one that's going to guide us through this. And so Ned is going to have a part to play in making some decisions and pulling some strings. And that's going to be interesting to see whether he'll be able to step up and fill those shoes, or if he's going to just not, crumble
at the way of expectation.
Yeah.
And funny enough, he's ruling and presiding authority over lords of small manors, or lords of small matters, is what Littlefinger said, or the Viserys varies said.
Varies.
Yeah, because it varies depending on how you say it. But it's funny too, because a kingdom is run by like the movement of independent parts, right? And it's small little independent parts. And so there's the treasury, there's the finance, there's like different branches to the whole element of power. So it's a lot of moving parts, and you can see that the king is absent. So the king is kind of like, again, he doesn't have a vested interest in the well-being of this kingdom, which also reminds me of kind of like a Babylonian kind of dystopian realm where it's decaying, and maybe it reflects itself in the lives of the people, of the inhabitants of the kingdom, of all seven realms, and the implications could vary even beyond the seven realms, and that's what we're seeing with the, like what we saw in the first episode with the zombie creatures. It's like a lot of neglect, a lot of kind of like, these are myths, things will be fine, things have been like this forever, whatever, I'm just gonna bask in the glory of what it means to be a king, or the privileges of the king, but not acknowledge what it means to be a king.
Yeah, it's a lot of like closed-mindedness and ignorance to things that are very real, that we saw are very real, you know?
It's a lot of prioritizing hedonism and sensory pleasure versus spiritual, virtuous kind of, like deep down, like what you know to be right. It's like ethics. It's like a master class on ethics and moral codes and yeah.
There's none of that here. That might as well be the subtitle for this. No moral ethics, left and right.
I know.
Let's see. So when the queen was talking to Joffrey, she was saying that they were kind of both agreeing, and she was telling him that everyone who isn't us is the enemy, right? And they were both kind of in agreement on that. And I thought that was interesting because it just really goes to show how much the Lannisters really want to maintain control. And I think that Ned Stark and the Starks, and especially with Bran awakening now, are going to pose a great threat to the Lannisters specifically, because it's going to make the king question the integrity of who they are, and also reveal what his queen is doing, and so that will diminish her value as queen.
And it's also worth noting that the Starks are represented by dire wolves, and wolves are known to be loyal to the members of the pack, and they're known as loyal beings. And then you have the lions, which represent the Targaryens, or not the Targaryens, the Lannisters, and lions represent like a predatoriness, like a dominance type of thing. The pride of lions, like there's a lot of pride that comes from it. And I think that it is conflicting, and it shows. It's like the Starks care about their own. Like you can see that they have a stronger connection amongst each other, even amongst the brothers, right? Amongst I think his name is Robb, the other Stark, who hasn't really shown his face that much. And then there's the younger one who was 6 at the time when Bronn fell. But they all have love for each other, it seems.
Yeah, and we don't really see much of the other, because it seems like the Lannisters have other kids, right? The Lannister, the Joffrey has other siblings, is what I'm saying. Like,
I don't remember.
The king has other kids.
Maybe, yeah.
But anyways, everyone who isn't us is the enemy. So I think that also it seems that the queen is kind of putting out feelers for what her son is going to be like when he's the king, and kind of still sinking her talons into him a little bit, wanting to keep control, especially when he's king. And so she's kind of instructing him and kind of also swaying him in certain directions. And I wonder how that's going to pan out, because she doesn't seem like she's someone who wants to lose control and power. She wants to very much stay within control and power as much as possible. And so if her son, the king's son, becomes the next king, right, then, she's going to want to still have a part to play in the politics of things and in the control and power of things,
And my question is, what is her motivation, though? Like, I still don't know what her motivation is, aside from pride and this idea of tribalism, of us versus them. That historically has shown to always result in a very racist kind of outcome, a very, it's just very fascist and racist. It's like, it's us, it's pride, too much pride always begets the fall. Pride comes before the fall. And so it's like, it's interesting. It's like they're very prideful. Okay, like let's see how this pans out.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like even the way that they were talking about, I'm sure that we can outfox a 10-year-old and stuff. It's like they're very sneaky. They're very conniving people. And I don't know. I just like you said, I don't really know what her true motivations are. It doesn't seem like anybody's true motivations have been revealed yet. So it's hard to really say you know,
Yeah.
where people stand, really. But
Aside from like Ned,
yeah.
I think that Ned isn't really like he's not the type who gives me the vibe of where he's hiding cards up his sleeve.
Yeah.
I think that he wears his like intentions bare on his sleeves and on his heart, and that's what makes him a prime target for all of these people who want to manipulate and want to outfox you.
Yeah.
And kind of like one up you in terms of information manipulation.
Yeah, because then part of the 48 laws of power is concealment, right? It's kind of like never show your true intentions and stuff, because then people will use it to
Against
their
you.
advantage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it easily becomes a weakness, because
It's the idea of the Achilles heel. It's like never reveal your Achilles heel.
yeah, and it's weird because I don't know, like I'm still trying to understand. Obviously, like Sansa had to go to King's Landing with Ned, right? But then I'm trying to understand, you know, Arya, I feel like ends up being a little bit of a weak link, kind of like a vulnerability, because she's his daughter, and so you don't want to pose any danger to your family, and so you wouldn't want to bring them to this place that's unfamiliar and that people really play into the politics a lot and would take advantage of a weakness like that, right? I don't know. Just saying.
I think that a good father exposes his kids to the dangers of the world. I think that that's the whole idea of like the Buddha, you know, of the whole idea of like the prince who's concealed from the world, who's kept in the ivory towers at Winterfell their entire lives. I think that that does a disservice to the development of people. I think people have to be exposed to the real machinations of the world and the real kind of like moving parts and the different aspects that you like. It's basically being truthful with your kids and not creating this illusion and this fantasy land, which is what we see Cersei as a overbearing mother, as a helicopter parent. Like she's constantly controlling her son's perceptions, constantly readjusting it so that it fits a framework that is in her best interest. And so Ned Stark is basically doing the opposite. He's basically opening up the curtains of the world and saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. This is a very dangerous place. It's not like he's hugging her and saying, it's okay, it's always going to be fine. Daddy's here all the time. I'm always going to be here with you. I'm always going to exist right by your side. I'm always going to hold your hand through every situation. That's a lie. It's like life happens to us, happens to everybody, here today, gone tomorrow. And there's this, you know, this like realness, and there's this weight to the Stark children where it almost seems as if they're like being kind of like built for this new political arena. It's like you're learning how to fight because you have to survive here. It's not as a hobby. It's not a fencing. It's not a rich kid thing. It's not a rich kid sport. It's you're learning how to survive. And your sister is equally learning the ways of like life in the royal palace, in the royal city, because she's learning how to survive. And that's why she can't go against the prince who will one day become king, because then it jeopardizes her position of power and her odds of survival and her odds of prolonging the lineage of the Starks and prolonging the honor of the family. So it goes deep, and that's why he was conflicted with the whole idea of like, oh, am I going to be a father who's protective and who, you know, sees if this Joffrey guy is an upstanding citizen of good character, or am I just going to, you know, succumb to the influence of the politics of the greater machine in which we all try to, you know, survive under and try to passively, peacefully kind of go unnoticed and under the radar and just survive and just exist within this ecosystem.
And that's why he made it a point to emphasize that they can't create war amongst themselves. Like, you can't hate your sister. We have to stick together. We have to be a team, because there's power in numbers too, right? And so you can't separate and disconnect, especially in a wolf pack. You know, they're very much about unity, and they're very much about loyalty, like you said. And so maintaining that, especially in this place of lions and other predators and stuff, and just always having each other's backs, because not and straying away and creating distance will leave each of them vulnerable. So they have to stick together.
Yeah, they can't. fragment. Like,
Yeah.
they can't be split.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what John is learning on the wall. He's learning that there's more power in unity, especially when you're facing nature and the harshness of nature and the harshness of the unknown, you know?
Yeah. And about John, really quick, it's so interesting because he turned to Tyrion and he said, "You were the only one who warned me and told me the truth about what this place really is, and that not even his father did that, and that his father just allowed him to go with this illusion of it being an honorable thing." And so it's kind of weird because I don't know, like maybe he feels a bit of what's the word I'm looking for?
Betrayed?
Yeah, like a little bit of a betrayal or a little bit of a lack of true care because his father must have known what it really was like, especially from the uncle, but then still kind of allowed him to have this idealized image and belief of what it was versus what it really is, and Tyrion was the only one to tell him.
He didn't feel like any of the people that he had deemed to have his back, like, he didn't feel as if they had his back with the most important decision that he made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now it's permanent.
And then maybe he also didn't feel like he had the guidance or the correct guidance from his stepfather or from his real father, but as a bastard from his father because of his condition as a bastard. And maybe Ned Stark didn't really take to him as closely as he probably did to Bronn, to Arya, to Sansa, to Robb, to the other kid who I forget his name. But maybe, Snow was just left to kind of figure it out on his own. And that's why he feels this heavy sense of abandonment. I think it's more so abandonment, and that's why I can relate a little bit to his story arc, because you don't really have guidance, direct guidance, and you don't have people basically giving you advice on what you should do with your life. But there are the good things that come with that, which is this incredible freedom. But most of the time, if you're not seasoned, if you're not tempered the right way, if you don't really have like a good grasp on reality, on who you are, on your own understanding of the universe, of philosophy of existence, then you'll get lost in the potentiality of it all, in the vastness of the options. Like, too much options, too many options can cause a lot of disorientation.
Can drown you, yeah.
Can drown you, yeah.
I don't really have like that many notes, but yeah, you already mentioned this point, like even when the king is wrong, like she has to side with her, and then Arya asks like why would he let her marry a man like that, which is what we already spoke about. And then Bran having his legs paralyzed, he won't be able to walk again. And it's interesting because they really emphasize the fact that he was an excellent climber, that in the rain and the wind and the snow, he would climb. So he probably would have ended up, even though wait, let me back up really quick. It's interesting because in the first scene, when he's trying to shoot the arrows, right, he keeps missing the target. And so maybe it was already meant to kind of show us that he wouldn't be as physically capable as his brothers and as his sister Arya even is compared to him.
Oh, like a skillful warrior.
Yeah, skillful warrior.
Yeah.
Even though that might have been his dreams, now that's completely severed because he's paralyzed. So now he's not going to be able to walk again. And so he'll have to, just like Tyrion said, and just like Tyrion showed us, he'll have to kind of strengthen other aspects of himself. Where Tyrion strengthens his intellect, Bran will have to do the same in order to, assert himself.
Like serve and also survive within this realm.
Yeah.
And then that's why Tyrion alludes to the fact, like, it's best to be a cripple. If you're going to be a cripple, it's best to be a rich cripple. And I just wanted to draw a quick parallel to Bran's fall to Harry Potter falling in his first Quidditch match. Yeah. And I feel like he caught the snitch, but it comes out at the cost of falling and injuring yourself and being in a coma. And I think that there's always like a common recurring motif of the seeker of wisdom will climb the highest heights and will risk their lives for the sake of acquiring the golden snitch, for acquiring the golden nugget of knowledge and information that has the potential to disrupt the entire kingdom and bring about war and death and chaos. And so it's kind of like you climb super high and you fall, but you do it in order to achieve the thing that everybody's too scared to climb and grab and like reach for.
Yeah.
And you obtain it, but it comes at the cost
And
of like
it's
a broken limb or like
yeah.
comatose and stuff. Yeah.
And then it's interesting because the golden snitch is like reflective of the golden hair of the Lannister, of the queen, right? So does that mean then that Bran, knowing what he knows, unironically would be the greatest threat to everything, like to the queen especially?
All of it. It would disrupt everything because then it would cause a ripple in the fabric of the whole King's Landing dynamic, because then the king is going to wage war against Jaime Lannister. Jaime Lannister is going to go to war with the Lannisters, I guess. Like, they have an army probably, you know, like every realm, every city, the people of Winterfell. And then you also saw Joffrey say that he wants to demand 10,000 soldiers, like double the tax on Winterfell, and demand 10,000 of their men to the royal army. So it is kind of like a feudal, like feudalism is what it kind of echoes. It's where the king gives certain men a lordship title where they are lords and preside over a little patch of land, and in exchange, that person, that now lord under this king, pays the king back in taxes, in agriculture, in like goods and services, and in military personnel and power. And that's what we see. So it's everybody responds and reports back to the king. All the money goes back to the king. But it's trippy, man. It's like this little kid holds the snitch, and the snitch can change everything. If he remembers, if he rejogs his memory, that's gonna screw everything up.
Yeah, I have some like theories too already. I'm like kind of like eyeballing some things. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little bit suspicious about I don't know. I'm a little bit suspicious. That's all I'll say, because I don't want to like speak on it too soon in case
it bites you in the butt.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll hold off on that. But it is interesting because Bran being a cripple, ironically, is the biggest threat to everything, like this kind of endless thread being pulled if that information gets out.
Which is the golden thread of hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, like Catelyn found it. All right, we already talked about that. Oh, it was funny when Tyrion said that he would decorate the spikes with their faces, right? And it was kind of him asserting himself and like who he is. He's a Lannister. He comes from nobility, and he wasn't afraid to kind of show them that he's better than them a little bit too. It's like, oh, you better know who I am, you know, and be weary of that, kind of like to the Night's Watch men when they were ganging up on Jon.
Yeah, because Tyrion presents himself as a tourist, and so there's more freedom and perceived flexibility in non-commitment. So he's not committed to the wall. So he's a tourist, and he's treating it as if it's like a zoo experience. It's like he's going to like look at them and just experience it as an outsider, as a tourist. But then I'm about to head back. Are you heading back? All right, so we could just, you know, like get a few Airbnbs and just like order Ubers and order DoorDash and order just food, and
Have
it'll
all
be
the
great.
girls we want.
Yeah, it's like it'll be great. Like you've never traveled with a royal person. Oh, like you'll love it. Like to me, I'm like already bored of it because that's what I do for a living. I just travel around, and I've known kids like that. Like I've told you stories. I'm not gonna state names, obviously, but kids I grew up with in high school. It's like come from very privileged families, come from this enormous amount of wealth that's generational. You know, like that they've earned through generations and generations. And so money becomes this non-existent thing that's never an issue. And then these kids spend years and years just traveling. It's like you check their Instagram, their stories and they're in Spain today, and the next week they're in Tokyo, and the next week they're in Switzerland, and they don't work ever, and they just seem like they have infinite money. And what do? And that's what they do for a living. They experience things in life as a tourist, and I think that that's one of the things that comes with wealth, especially when it's generational wealth and it's not earned by the current member within that lineage. Because when you don't earn money through hard sweat and tears, blood, sweat, and tears, then you don't know the value of money. And so I think that there's a disconnect when it comes to wealth and access, and especially nobility and loyalty, or royalty rather, and that's what Tyrion is suffering from, is that he's a perpetual tourist of life, and that he sees life and lives life, experiences it through a theoretical perspective where he's like learning about life through books. And then Jon Snow, we don't even know if he knows how to read. It's like we don't know, probably does because he comes from noble upbringing and they have teachers and tutors. But yeah, it's interesting. And then Jon has to kind of just go by intuition. And he has no tutors. He has no special teachers. He kind of probably had to learn by himself.
And that's interesting too with what you said. I think that overconsumption and overindulgence on something kind of over time makes you not see the value in it anymore, which we see with the king. It's like he just completely overindulges on everything and doesn't really, he's very indifferent about everything. Like he doesn't really uphold any value of being the king and what that means a little bit. Like he's willing to just pass on the work to someone else and just enjoy himself. But even that is kind of getting, mundane a little bit, but it's the same sense, like the idea that you just experience, but then over time it kind of starts dulling itself a little bit.
Yeah, and it dulls the senses too, because you can only experience one thing that's pleasurable a few times before your pleasure threshold has to inevitably expand. And that's what usually happens to like addiction cases and people who become enamored with something, is that they always want to replicate and ironically chase the dragon of that experience. It's always chasing the high. It's like chasing the high of the first time I had an orgy in King's Landing, and then the first time I did it while drunk, and then the first time I peed over the wall, and then the first time I peed over the wall drunk, and then the first time it's like it's always enhancing it with like more things to kind of enhance the experience. But it's always trying to one-up yourself, and that's what's dangerous. And that's what excess always leads to. It leads to the fall. Yeah. It leads to literally the encounter with the limitations, be it in excess of like drinking, eating, usage of substances, usage of whatever it may be, and it ends in the peril and in the demise of the person that's lost in that indulgence.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't know. I'm just like keeping tabs, because I was gonna say that, does that mean that the king will fall? Because I'm being skeptical now. I feel like he's overindulged for so long, and he's so kind of not concerned with his kingdom, so much so that he's just appointing a hand to take care of it, like themselves, which is Ned in this case. And I just wonder what that'll mean for him and what his fate will be, because he has been around these people for so long, the people of the kingdom, of the throne, and the Lannisters, that he himself is very prideful. And so, what is his fall? And every king falls, and and a new king takes the place, and in this case it's his son, right? And so I don't know, just it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think that all bets are on Jon Snow, and they're betting on him being the harbinger of a rehabilitation of the kingdom, because the kingdom finds itself stratified and completely destroyed and crumbling upon itself, and everybody lacks respect towards the king and probably views him as just this fat, overindulgent slob who doesn't do anything all day, who misses out on the important meetings or the unimportant meetings. The people that he has appointed to manage his kingdom, he makes sure that they understand that they are lords of small matters, and he doesn't grace them with his presence, doesn't really care, doesn't give importance to anything, and just proves the point that within the kingdom itself, like, it's bound to like just implode upon himself to the point where the queen is having an affair with the brother, and they're keeping this minotaur underneath the castle, and it's within this maze. And now here comes Theseus in the form of Ned Stark, and he comes and he volunteers to save the realm and to slay the minotaur that has been haunting the kingdom for days, and maybe rehabilitate and restore order to this fallen realm.
I just know that I don't trust anybody right now aside from the Starks. I don't really trust anybody else.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody.
I have like a radar going off that's kind of like skepticism, but I think that that's very telling that the Starks pretty much wear their character very much so raw and right on their sleeve, and you can tell exactly who they are.
They put an effort towards not being deceptive.
Yeah.
It's like they try to not be deceptive, and then the other people all put effort towards being deceptive.
Yeah. Ooh, that's gonna be interesting to see. First time holding a sword. Okay, I think I'm almost done. We already. Oh, the hammer to the chest was funny because it was the parallel to Thor, and then he was describing it, and he was saying that all of the ribs broke and stuff, and I was like, oh, like that's his chest caved in.
No.
Oh my god.
The armor caved in too. Think about that.
I had 2 caffeine pills, and I think that's why I feel like so
Anxious?
So like yeah. Because I'm literally feeling my chest like palpitating.
You gotta just chillax, man.
No, but I can't because it's like 200 milligrams of caffeine.
Just breathe through your nose.
I'm like trying, but just
Are
bear
you okay,
with
though?
me. Yeah,
Okay.
but just bear with me. But then also like the describing of things, like when they were talking about eating the dog and then the hammer to the chest. It's kind of like all these things
help.
that are making me queasy.
And it's kind of hot down here too.
Yeah, it is, right? And I turned the AC on. I'm kind of burning up.
We should like wrap it up then.
Yeah, but anyways, forced to mind the door while the king just does whatever he wants. We already talked about that. Mercy. Hold on. I'm just like reading through because we already talked about most of these. Don't believe in. Oh, nothing before but counts was interesting too. It's like when it's kind of like
nothing after but.
Oh, nothing at.
But like if you start a sentence with but, what follows but after but doesn't matter.
It's not that what came before the but doesn't count. So it's kind of like if they were giving all of these praises and compliments and then they throw in but, then anything before the but didn't really matter.
I saw it was after because Tyrion started his sentence with a but.
Oh, he did?
Mm-hmm. And he did it kind of like to poke poke fun at what was being said.
Yeah, I don't know, but I thought.
But right
yeah. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh gosh, I'm like freaking out a little bit because my heart is like palpitating.
Then you have to breathe because you know, like I don't know what to do. I thought we were here to have fun.
No, it is. No, it is fun for me still. Don't worry about that. I think that's pretty much it. She doesn't want to eat horse. John was teaching them how to fight. The wildlings are fleeing south of the wall. There's less than 1,000 men on the wall protecting the whole kingdom, and they're undisciplined boys and old men. So, I mean, they're really putting a lot of trust in these people to uphold it, especially now with like White Walkers making an appearance after thousands of years. And so I don't know how that's going to turn out. Summer was 9 years long. So it's the idea that
they don't seem to adhere to a traditional calendar system.
Yeah, and also that winter will always come. So the motto that winter is coming is always true. It doesn't matter if the summer is 9 years long because the impending doom of winter always lingers. And the people of the North understand that because they have been exposed to it and they're the most familiar with it and the most acquainted with that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's interesting that the further south you are, the more kind of ignorant you are to that
Which is
reality.
what I touched upon earlier, yeah.
And then and then the dad getting the lessons, Ned getting lessons for Arya is interesting too, because he's preparing her and kind of strengthening her, but then also showing that he's paying attention to this thing that she's showing an interest in and using it in a way that will benefit her and give her protection, give her self-protection.
Allow her to survive in the world, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Is that all of it?
That's all.
I'm just going to quickly, just give me like 1 minute. I'm just going to skim through to see if there's anything I forgot.
But yeah, this is fun. These episodes are so packed, and Bran, I feel so bad for Bran.
Yeah, I think we got to everything, honestly. Like, I think that whatever we forget, we'll always include in the next episodes, and we'll always just like fall back to whatever we like. It's gonna be a long journey because there's like 8 seasons, right? Which is crazy and it's wild. So this is gonna be a very long journey. I'm sure that we'll have many future opportunities to remember things or to mention things that we forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else there? No. All right. So this has been a very great journey so far. I enjoyed it very much. And if you guys enjoyed it as much as we did, let us know by dropping a like and commenting below also. What's the word that they should comment? Today,
comment. What was something that really stood out?
I was gonna say peeing over like over the wall.
Yeah.
Over the wall. I don't know. I can't really think. Do peeing over the wall.
Peeing over the wall? Yeah, that's perfect. Peeing
So
over the wall.
if you could comment peeing over the wall, that'll let us know immediately. Like it's a bat signal. It's like a beacon. It'll like let us know that you've reached the end of the discussion portion and that you enjoy sticking around with us and just talking and just being mentally gone, especially today. Today I was specifically more so very much mentally gone.
No, but you spoke so well. Guys, I was mentally gone because my chest is feeling so tight. I'm not used to like. I maybe should just limit it to one caffeine supplement because I took 2 because I was like, oh, maybe I could use the second one, but I think that was overkill. And next time I'll know, just keep it.
like it's all through experience. It's all through learning.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed it, just let us know by liking. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a reaction. You may or may not believe it, but things like we've been speaking about consistency, and finally it's implementing and it's working and it's unfolding and it's happening right now. It's the Michael Scott meme of it's happening, and then everybody panicking and they're like, Mentally Gone is posting now consistently. This is crazy. But yeah. So I'm enjoying it very much, and I'm here for the long run, and we're both here for the long run, and we're in this to have fun and to enjoy ourselves and to be free. So with each episode, hopefully you get that from us and you realize and you notice that we're getting more and more free and lucid and not lucid, but free and loose. And yeah.
That's
Anything
it.
else?
That's it.
So with that being said, guys, thank you so much. And don't forget that it's never wrong
to be mentally gone. Peace to the world.
Take care.